took this trade was because of VWAP basically. So, and then also the trend line. So I'm gonna go over the whole thing. So we seen that we were chopping within VWAP. Price breaks above these highs. So I'm giving an indication that there might be some future play since we've already got above this level, right? We don't see any lower lows, right? Price is kind of making equal lows, right? We're making kind of equal lows. Price is inside of a range. If you can see this green line, this is VWAP. Right? So when New York opens up and we keep rejecting, boom, right? Reject here. So we come and sweep these lows, right? We come down here and we take out all of previous session. I mean, all of the session lows, right? And then when I saw the higher time frame, like I was showing you, let's go to the 1 hour real quick. We had this trend line resistance. Right, so I seen price was not breaking this low. Look at this wick. Look at this wick. We come down here and we just sweep, right? And look where we recover. You see how we recover back above where all of these other candles are? We have no candle closures below this trend line. So for me, this is the manipulation. And also, what time did this happen? This happened at 10 a.m. What is 10 a.m. and why is 10 a.m. so significant? 10 a.m. is the 4-hour candle. It's the new opening of the 4-hour candle, right? So this is putting in the new low of the 4-hour candle. What, right? This is the whole Asia and London session. So this is accumulation. This is manipulation. Right? And then this is our distribution. So I seen the AMD. Right, buy side distribution, right? So the reason why I got in though is because we have the quickest V-shaped reversal, right? We came down and came right back up on the 1 hour and the 30-minute. Look, the 30-minute we don't even have candle closures below this trend line, right? Let's see the 15-minute we kind of we get the candle closure, but regardless, the higher time frame we were very bullish from this sweep. So as you can see, we sweep. Let me do it real quick. We sweep, session sweep. Where the hell is my session sweep? Oh, session sweep, right? We have our session sweep right here. And then we get an inversion. What was it? The 2-minute? Yeah, we got the 2-minute inversion. Right? So now I'm already bullish. Yeah, you could catch down here. I'm not saying Bubbles, what's going on, bro? Long time no see. Right? So you could have gotten down here. But for me, I wanted to see more confirmation only because we were printing. If we look again, let's go look at the 15-minute. Right? We were kind of having, a downtrend in the 15-minute. Right? We have all of these lower highs. Right? We have this, what is this? A sweep into this last order block. Look, up, down, up. This is the last order block right here. So price rejects off the order block. So I'm like, all right, cool. We might flush lower, right? We might continue lower. Once we came back above this level on the 1 minute, 2 minute, whatever one you like to look at, and we caught this inversion with a V-shaped reversal, and we got a candle closure over the last previous high, I was like, okay, let me just look for an OT. I got my first 4K payout. Fire, bro. That's what's up, bro. Congrats. All right, so we get a CISD. So now I'm like, okay, it's a potential that we could be bullish, right? So once I marked out OTE, right, 618. So this is called the golden. This is called OTE. People call it the golden pocket. It's like I don't know. I'm not calling it no golden pocket. Feel me? But that's what some people call it. It's OTE, optimal trade entry. Any video that you go watch, it's always gonna be called OTE. It's between 618 and 705. 705 is the perfect entry. 618 between 9. See, that's people do teach it that way, but if you use 0.5, 0.5 is equilibrium, right? the golden, or not, I'm not even gonna call it that. The OTE is 618,705. Equilibrium was 0.5. A lot of the times, price respects equilibrium. You feel me? OTE is just a better entry. You get minimal drawdown. If you took this at 618, you would have had $2 worth of drawdown. You feel me? Loco, what's going on, bro? So this is where I entered. I entered at the candle closure above. You go look on my I think I just posted it. If I could find my phone, it's on my MT5, so I can't log in on my computer because I hate MT5 on a computer. Shit's retarded. Isn't it 0.79? Nah, it's point 705. If you go look at Matt Scribs, who is a fucking beast when it comes to OTE, if you go look at him, if you go look at anybody that teaches OTE, it's always 705 and 618. They are the best levels. Look, 7.9 is right here, 786. So if you round this up, it becomes 7.9. This is the lower end, right? So this is basically like where your stop loss would be, for me at least. I appreciate you sharing the live. So this is where we got in. Let me turn all this stuff off real quick. Oh, that's never mind. So yeah, I got in at the candle closure above 0.5 because that was just the volume that I was looking for. If you look at these candles, all right, we started getting an increase in volume. All right, we get the we start to plateau, and then along these candles right here, we get an influx in volume. So I was like, yeah, if we were gonna continue to go lower, I'm almost positive volume would continue to stay lower, right? Once we started to get these volume spikes, that's when I was like, all right, I think it's time to get in. My first target was here. This was the order block we rejected off here before. I targeted here as we kind of like continue to break levels and respect them. Like this is the last breaker block, right? The last candle we run through it. So this is what we call a breaker block. All right, this last candle. But regardless, it's you don't have to call it all this stuff, right? These are just things that I try and teach you or tell you so you're able to recognize it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just an ICC continuation, right? You get a breakout, which is this right here. You get the breakout, you get the retest, right? And then price goes higher, right? It just continues to happen all over again. If I mark this high, right, we get the breakout, we get the retest, and then we go higher, right? If I mark this high, we get the breakout, we retest right here. Look where the fucking retest comes at 634, right? We come and then we push higher, right? So this is all you're following is market structure. That's all you're following. So this is how I end up entering the trade, and this is why I'm still in this trade. I plan on holding this. I say we have targets above. We reject. Oh, we didn't even finish yet. So basically, what I'm looking for is for price to come fill this fair value gap. I don't see us rejecting lower. Even though we do get a candy, if this 4-hour candle closes underneath of this, I might take partials and let some shit run. You feel me? But this is a mean rejection. So we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. All right, we have this imbalance right here. Look at this in candle imbalance. The sell side imbalance, and look where we're rejecting from. So it is a possibility that we do go lower from here. I'm not talking about starting the trend to go lower. I'm just talking about a pullback, maybe for a session, right? Maybe London, Asia session, we get a deep pullback and New York carries the move, right? You got to remember, AMD is sessions and quarterly. Every 30 minutes, this stuff happens. Can you do a LLC? IIC. Yeah, I can do an ICC. Yeah, I got you. I'm just let you know, gold plays out way better when it comes to ICC. 100 times better, right? Gold is a trending asset. Gold is very, very clean, right? There's not much that you have to do with gold. Once you catch a bottom of the move, especially on a high time frame, right? Like, let's just show you again. Watch it. Look at this. Right, this is our candle high, right? We break above it, so this is my indication that price could go higher. We retest the CE, which is just the midpoint, right? We get a manipulation. Mind you, this is the 2 hour. Look at this manipulation. Candles close beneath all of these candles. I mean, this wick takes out all of these candle lows, right, into a 4-hour fair value gap, right? So this is the manipulation that we're looking for, and then we take the trade out of it. So if we go look at it on a lower time frame, it's the same exact trade, literally, as what I just took. Accumulation. What's the manipulation? Us taking sell side inside of a fair value gap, right? Manipulation, and then we distribute. All right, so this happens, and look, what time did this happen? This happened at 6 a.m., right? So if we look at OTE, right, we didn't even get OTE. Price was too bullish. So let's find out if VWAP played a part in this trade, right? I'm at anchor at 8 o'clock. So now look what this green line is. This green line is VWAP. So we break above it and we kind of retest. Yeah, I love Top Step. Top Step is fire. I need a promo. Top Step does not use promo codes. They're too rich for that. They know you're going to spend money with them regardless. So they up their prices because they know that they're the top tier firm and everybody wants to trade with them. So they're never going to drop promos. They may drop, little stuff when they want to, but they don't have like promos. If you want to use anything and you're not trying to break the bank, I would use Lucid Trading. Lucid Trading is a great firm. They pay out probably the fastest in the league. That is what I'll recommend for somebody who wants to spend maybe. I think if you never used Lucid before and you use the code VOLT, you get like 50% off. So ICC is not less accurate. It's just I'm gonna go to it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go to it right now. Right. So you just this trade right here. We have this fair value gap. Price holds inside this fair value gap, and then we also see that VWAP is holding above VWAP. Right. If we look to the left, we just get the ICC. Right. We get let me just delete some of this stuff so you can see. Right. So basically, how I look at it, anytime price makes a high, I draw a box. Right. I draw a box. So now I want price to break above it. So this is my indication that price wants to travel higher. And the reason why it's an indication, you can't just do off any high. But let's look at the previous highs. All right, we got this one. Oh, let me not do that. Right, we got here. We got here. So we got a high, and then we got a lower high. All right, and then we got a new lower high. So what happens here is this high right here higher than this high. Yes. So this is a new higher high. Right? So in a trend has to go high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. That's how the market moves in a downtrend. In an uptrend, you guys know high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Right? And that has to continue. So anytime price makes a new lower high in the trend, it has to go put in a new high. That's just the way the market works, right? That's how trends move in one direction. They never just go vertical, right? So if price wanted to continue this trend, we got our low, we got a new low, a lower low, a new lower low, right? If price wanted to continue in a lower trend, price would have stopped at this level here and it would have made a new lower low, but it didn't. It made a new higher high. So this is our indication, right? This is the eye, right? That price may want to travel higher. This is the correction because we come back and retest the high that we just broke, right? So now if price, so if we draw a trend line, right, we have, let me just delete some of this stuff so you can start to see again, right? Price is starting to make lower lows and lower highs, right? So in this short 5-minute downtrend, right, we have this right here. So we have the indication right here. We got the correction. Once price broke above these highs right here, this is where we enter, right? Price, boom, and we continue higher, right? Now let's just do the same thing real quick. Price makes a new high right here. We get the correction. So now I'm just going to draw a box at the high, right? From the wick to the body. So, right, wick to body, right? So now, right, this is a new, so if you didn't catch this trade right here, this is a new trade. This is a new trade, right? This is the indication right here, right? Price wants to travel higher. It puts in this was the low, this was the high, this is a new higher high, right? So this is my indication, this is my correction back down to the high that we just broke. So now, again, once we start to make, again, this sometimes for me, I enter right here, or sometimes I may enter as price starts to give me momentum. So I may enter right there. It just depends on how you feel. You feel what I'm saying? That's just the big thing, is that a lot of times I enter at the touch, because if you enter at the touch, you get minimum drawdown. If you tend to enter as price, like say you enter right here, so now price is giving you some drawdown. Now you're in, a type of mind frame where, is this trade going to go against me? Should I move my stop to break even? What should I do? Right? And then say, you close the trade and price runs without you, right? So you just have to get good on entries and timing, right? But that is literally all that you guys do. I'm going to show you on NQ as well. But like, it's the same thing. Look, price makes a new high. So if this is what? This is 6 p.m. All right, so price makes a new high. I'm just going to draw a box at the high. This is a perfect example, right? So what happens? Price gives us our indication, right? Why? Because we start to make new higher highs. But the problem is that we stay at this high, right? We kind of don't get above it. We continue to tap it. But as you see, we continue high, we get a new high, right? So off of these touches, I'm entering right here. Stop loss at the next swing low, right? This one may be dependent on, how big or how many contracts you're using, especially if you what time frame you're in. This is the 5 minute, right? So if I get my indication that these highs right here, and I continue to get retests, this is letting me know that there's a strong support level right here. So the next touch I get, I'm gonna take my entry, stop loss at the low, and then I'm gonna target, external liquidity, a fair value gap that's open, right? So let's do the same thing. Look, price makes a new high, we break above it, so I'm gonna draw a box at the high we just broke, right? So now, look, we get underneath of it, but why we haven't broke any significant lows, right? So if we're looking, where are our significant lows at? Right? Let's take all this shit off the screen real quick. Make this shit again. New high. Right? So we haven't broke any lows. Our significant lows are just the ones that are sticking out here, 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 right? So if price breaks underneath of this high, there's no reason to sell. We don't start selling until we get underneath of this, right? This is where I can start looking for sells, right? So if price gets underneath of it, I'm not ready to take a trade unless it hits OTE, right? If this is my swing low, I go swing low to swing high. Look, price comes and taps OTE. So 9 times out of 10, that's my entry. I'm taking my entry right here, and I'm gonna hold and put my stop loss below 786. All right, and I'm gonna target the previous high. All right, we take the entry here, target the previous high, stop loss at 786. You got a 2.5 R. If you're, what I mean, like that's kind of how I trade ICC. I'm waiting for price to give me indication anytime it breaks a high. Right, once we break that high, that's my indication. Right, we broke this high. This is my indication. Right, so I'm gonna put my box at the top of this high. Right, this is the thing. You see how we get underneath of it, but this is, a old high, and we never go underneath of it, right? So this right here would be our no trade zone, right? So if by chance you didn't catch the entry here, and price gives you this high, and we don't hold at this high right here, and then you wait for price to start to be bullish again. Now you see that we're holding at this high, so now we can finally get in and hope for price to push us higher. Right, so that's just how I look at it. Right, even if price does, we knew that buyer stepped in right here. Right, buyer stepped in, push price to here. Buyer stepped in, push price to here. Right, we end up getting a little bit more. Sellers pushed us back down to where all the buyers were sitting. So what are the odds of price breaking or going higher? 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. 4 times we touched this area. 4 times. So the odds of us going below are slim to none. Right? So that you got to remember, trading is 99% probability, right? It's always you looking at what you're looking at versus how accurate is this. If my win rate is 70%, and then I know that this has a 70% chance of hitting every single time. So now I didn't catch the oil sells. So that is what you have to play. You can't just sit here and say, hey, this strategy is perfect, so shut up. We're not trading oil, my boy. I sniped it at 1.6. Bro, oil was old, my boy. We hit for like 30K. Go look at on my TikTok. Just let me just do that. We hit for like, if I could find my fucking phone, bro, go look at my TikTok. We hit for like 37K when oil first did its jump. I got in at like 87 and I rode it to 120. Oil drop. Yeah, I didn't catch it. I'm in a gold trade right now. I'm up like, I don't even know where gold is at right now. We entered down here. This is my entry today on gold. So I've been holding about here. But I don't trade. Once you get the correction on high time frame, you apply it to ICC on the lower. So yes, so when I'm looking at the higher time frame, this is giving my direction, right? So like, look at this shit, bro. We're like, I don't like, we're make a high, a new low, a lower low, right? A low, oh sorry, let me not even say, what the fuck am I saying, right? We got a low, a new low, a lower low, a lower low. We got a high, a lower high, lower highs, lower highs, right? So where's our first break? This is my first break. This is my first break, right? So now, this is my indication. This is my indication that price could go higher, right? Because you cannot, listen, you cannot have higher highs being broken, or you cannot have highs being broken in a downtrend. It doesn't work. That's not how that shit works, right? So if price breaks a high, especially on a higher time frame, that's your indication that price has the potential to go higher, right? So I am going to mark out this high, right? So now we have our correction. Oh shit, right? So price comes back to the high that we just broke. I wish there's like a button I could press instead of clicking this shit 100 fucking times. Right? So we got, oh my gosh, lower high. Right? So we got our lower highs. Price makes a higher high. Right? This is still a lower high. Right? We got the low. We got a higher low. Right? So US 30. I swing trade, bro. So I've been in trades for months. So I've been holding for a long time. So we broke this high, we broke this one, right? So now we have an indication that price wants to be bullish, right? We see that we could not get beneath this 4-hour fair value gap, so price is holding, right? We touched it here. Let's find out if we hit OTE, right? So swing high to swing low. I mean, swing low to swing high in a bullish movement. And as you can see, that was my phone? Yeah, my phone just made a fucking noise. I don't know where my phone is at, bro. This is crazy. I just heard that. Oh, it's right here. I'm dumb as shit. It's on my computer. All right. Yeah. So let's get back to it, right? So we swing low to swing high. Price retraces is OT. So, by the way, basically a fib. Yeah. So this is you use the tool for fib, right? There's 2 levels that you look at. Yeah, OT is a fib. Yeah. So the tool, yes, right. So there's 2 levels that you're looking at. You're looking at equilibrium and you're looking at OTE. OTE is this right here, right? So when I see price bounce off OTE and we start to get vertical push, I'm not expecting price to come lower, right? Especially if this is the day that went by, right? This was at 3 p.m. Now it's 1 a.m., right? So now I'm going to get into the trade and I'm going to look a little bit tighter, right? So I'm going to come into this one. We have the swing low to the swing high, right? Most of the time, I would go down to a lower time frame, and I'm putting it at this swing high because look, if price was moving and I'm in, watching the charts, we get the swing low to the swing high, price consolidates. Look, we touch OTE multiple times, right? So now I'm already bullish, right? And look at this. This was already support. So if I just drag this out, price tries to escape and immediately reverses. Look how long this candle is. So just because we close beneath this, you got to look at the next candle. We get a bullish engulfment closing way above these highs. All right. So I'm putting it from swing low to swing high. Right. Price comes to OTE and then we immediately make new higher highs. Right. So we have the lower high right here. Price comes and we make a new higher high. Right? So honestly, if you were looking deeper into the charts, you could have caught this indication a lot earlier, and you could have seen that we were making an indication right here. Right? We got the first break right here. So this is our indication. If again, it's the same thing though. It's no different. Right? Even if you caught it right here, price still watch. So we break this high. So now I'm waiting for price to come back to this level. This is the lower high that price broke above. Look what happens. We touch it to the T, bro. It's not like it's very spot on, right? So now I'm going to move my low to the next low, right? So this is my low, this is the next low, and I'm going to put my high to the next high, right? To the swing high. So swing low to swing high. I'm going to extend it. Look where we touch. 705 on the fucking pit. Like you can't even, it touches it. You know what I mean? It's perfect. That is the perfect entry. If you put a limit order right there, you were not in 1 second worth of drawdown. Feel me? So now we're breaking highs, right? We were making lower lows. We were making all lower lows and lower highs, a straight downtrend. We broke it right here, break above the last previous bullish high. Even if you look at this one, it's kind of the same thing. I'm using this one because it's more significant than this one, right? But look what price does. So now I'm going to move my bottom to the next low, to the next high, which is right here. And look what we do again. We touch OTE. Price respects OTE, right? So this is most likely after we inverse this FVG right here. That's my entry. We inverse this IFVG. We retrace the OTE. That's my entry. I'm longing right there. I'm gonna, especially I'm gonna zoom into the lower time frame, right? 5 minute, 3 minute. My fib settings are this. These are the only ones that matter. 5, 786, 705, 618. Take a screenshot. Bubbles, I appreciate all of the gifts, bro. You always do me nice, bro. Appreciate it. Feel me? So, right? So now what happens? We break this high right here, right? So again, this is my indication that price wants to be bullish. We want to look higher, right? So what do? Right? Again, when price does this, I'm telling you right now, stop entering in the middle of fair value gaps. I promise you, your win rate will increase significantly because this always happens. You enter here, you get some nice movement, and then it comes, takes you out, and then it goes in your favor. If you can wait for price to take a low inside of a fair value gap, your win rate will go from 40 to 70, 80. I promise you that changed my whole trading. I could probably show you 1,000 examples of just waiting for a low to be swept inside of a high time frame fair value gap. And bro, I'm telling you, it's so raw, bro. Because I used to trade fair value gaps, and I used to wait for like the midpoint to be respected, and then I'm taking the trade, right? So let's go down to the 5 minute real quick and let's look at it. All right, so we got the FVG right here on the 5 minute. Matter of fact, yeah, let's look at the 15 minute again. Boom, boom. Right, so most people, right, may be taking a trade, or they might wait, right? If you could wait, wait. You said wait for the low to be swept inside of FVG. Good night, Mr. Good night, good night. You said wait for the low to be swept inside of FVG on the correction. So no, for the most part, right? If you're looking, it doesn't always have to be inside a fair value gap, right? But I'm just saying, let me just try and find an example so you could understand, right? Like this. This is another example. If I'm taking this trade right here and I see this high, right? And I see there's a fair value gap right here, and let's say price holds at the fair value gap, I'm waiting for price to take that low inside that fair value gap before I take the trade, because most of the time that is the manipulation, right? 90% of the time that's the manipulation, especially like look at this. This is a unfilled fair value gap, right? So we broke above it, giving ourselves an indication. We got the correction, but we never filled this fair value gap. So price is most likely going to come fill it and then run in your favor, right? So a lot of times this is what happens. People take their entry here, right? Put their stop loss super tight, get stopped out just for price to rip in their favor. You see what I'm saying? So that is all I'm trying to say is just be careful if there's a fair value gap below, wait for it to get tapped, right? If you're trying to take an entry, like say you're trying to take an entry off of this and there's a fair value gap below, it's so much better just to wait and see if that fair value gap's going to get touched. So you just have to, like, I can't tell you exactly if it's going to be the 5 or the 15 minute, right? Or it could be the 1 hour, right? But just make sure like that you're paying attention to where they are. Like for instance, right? Look, this is the 1 hour fair value gap, right? So, and then what we were just looking at was the 15 minute. Right? So this was the fair value gap we're looking at the 15 minute, right? So if I was looking and I seen that there was a 1 hour, this was the 1 hour fair value gap, I'm not worried about this 15-minute fair value gap because this is the first presented fair value gap, right? You always want to do the first presented fair value gap, right? Just like in this move down, right? Watch. Right? This move down, this is a fair value gap. So if price came and touched it, I'm not taking a trade here because price can still come fill this fair value gap. This is the first presented fair value gap on the leg down. So I'm going to wait for this fair value gap to be filled. Once we start to, make the look, watch, bro, watch how crazy this shit is, right? The low, yeah, this is the high, this is the low, this is the pullback. So look, high, low, look where we do. Look where OTE is. We literally come back and touch OTE. Right? And then what do? We displace lower. You see what I'm saying? So that is why I just wait. I like supply and demand, but I feel like doesn't give you enough room for price action. Supply and demand is only good in a ranging market. When price is doing this, listen, supply and demand is the backbone of trading. So do not let anybody tell you that supply and demand is ass, because if they do, then never listen to them, because supply and demand is the backbone of trading. But supply and demand is the best when you're in a range like this. Right? This is supply and demand trading. When you're, look how long, right? Well, matter of fact, I'm gonna do you one better. This is the 1 hour, right? This was from February 4th all the way until March 18th, right? So anytime price came up here, we've sold down to the bottom. Anytime price touched the bottom, we come up to the top, right? In a month, we have not, over a month, we did not break outside of this range, right? So this is where supply and demand trading is key, right? I'm gonna do you one better. Look at the daily time frame. Look, you feel me? We have the same thing, right? So literally, we kind of broke underneath of it right here, and we made a new zone, right? So this was the overall, and then we broke underneath of them, and then we turned this support into resistance, right? And that's what happened again. Watch. All right, this was the zone. So this time, look, we broke underneath of it, but we did not turn this into resistance. We broke underneath of it, but we recovered very quickly, right? We almost broke underneath of it, but we recovered, right? Price didn't even pull up halfway, right? Every single time price broke underneath, we literally got a full retrace, right? This time, what did price do? What did price do? Price, what the fuck is this? OTE. We broke, right? We came back, we rejected OTE. Also, now look, watch this one more time, watch. This is what I'll be talking about. If you could wait for a high to be swept inside a fair value gap. Look at these highs. Look at the fair value gap. Right? So we swept the highs inside this fair value gap. Right? We touch OTE. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for buys no more. Right? So it just depends, bro. I've been on the like it just depends on what your eyes see, right? What OTE is just between 705 and 618. That's all OTE is. Right? So the 4 hour, it just depends, bro. Sometimes you have to use other time frames, right? Sometimes a 4 hour may not give you a great draw on liquidity. So you just have to be patient and understand. You have to do a top-down analysis. Look at the 4 hour, right? We break those lows, we sweep the lows, we come back to OTE. Look, there is even a 4 hour fair value gap, right? It doesn't really matter as long as you're able to do it. So let's just say this wasn't a 4 hour fair value gap, and then I'm gonna go down to the 2 hour. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna go down to the 1 hour until I see what I need to be seen. You see what I'm saying? If there's no fair value gap there and there's this one above, and then I might not want to take the trade, right? I might want to wait and see what's going on. But this is where it gets better, is that once you see highs inside of a 4 hour fair value gap, right, and it also overlines with OTE, I don't need to look up here, right? Because why? I have a support turning into resistance, I have OTE, and I have highs sitting inside of a fair value gap. So that's like three confluences all in the same exact area, right? So I don't need to look up here because why? There's nothing up here. It's just a fair value gap. OTE is not up here. Nothing is up there. So I don't need to look. I'm going to look where most of my confluences are sitting at, right? If OTE lines up with a fair value gap, which happens to have, a SMT and fucking highs inside that fair value gap, guess what? That's the area that I'm looking to target. Exactly. Getting price to respect one candle doesn't make us. Hold on. Getting price to respect one candle, it doesn't make sense. Can you break that? Say that again, just so I understand what you're saying. All right. So once we got underneath this support level, I'm not sure. I got you. So if it FVG is you. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Just making sure. Right. So now that I see that price continues to respect, like you gotta remember, in order for price to change from ranging, it has to break a level. It has to break resistance at the top or support at the bottom, right? So if I was looking to take longs, right, we need price to break out the top, retest it to push higher, right? If we're looking for shorts, we need price to break out the bottom, retest it to push shorter, right? We break out the bottom, we retest it multiple times, cannot break above, and then we end up going lower, right? So that is what we need to see, and that's what happens right here, right? We touch it and we continue to push lower, right? Without getting, back up into this zone. Respecting one candle doesn't sit right with me. So it's not just the candle that you're worried about. You're kind of trying to look at the overall picture of what is going on. You know what I mean? So it's the one candle, but it's the overall structure as well, right? So just because this candle came up and pushed me touch OTE, so now I'm looking at the overall structure. If we didn't break beneath this for almost a month and a half, and we finally break beneath of it, and we can't close back above it, right? We can't close back above this area. We have not closed above this area, right? Every single time we got here, we pushed higher. We got here, we pushed higher. We got here, we pushed higher. Look, we get underneath, we never reject off of this area. So the one time, so once we finally do start to reject this area, I'm not looking to push higher because price is telling me it needs more sell side, if that makes sense. All right, so that is kind of taking the overall context. Instead of worrying about one candle, we're looking at the overall context of what is going on. All right, so let me just make sure something. Okay, back. JR, what's going on, my boy? Right, so let's see. Let's go to the 1 hour real quick. Let's look at these highs. Right, so again, it just continues to do the same thing when it comes to ICC, guys. Anytime we break highs, I'm looking for price to retest that high. Right, this last blue candle right here is the last candle in the continuation that we're going over right now. So this is the last candle. All right, so we broke above it. This is my new indication that price wants to play higher. Right, this is it. So we break above this high, we push higher. Right, we give ourselves a new high. Right, a new higher high. Right, once we get that retrace to the high, right, we respect the midpoint multiple times. My mentors have taught me pretty. Oh, I see what you're saying. So listen, everybody's different when it comes how to read the charts, right? And also, like, I don't know. When I first started trading, I was learning supply and demand. It made me understand not to buy and not to sell at the top and not to buy at the bottom. But that's not an overall strategy. You need to pair that with something, right? Because the market is never just going to be in a range, right? So you just need, or it's not always going to be in a range. So the days that we're in continuation is the days that you get smoked because you're going to look at the sell at, you're going to look to sell at the resistance or at the supply at the demand zone, and you're going to get rinsed because price breaks through it, right? So this is where it comes. This is why I like the strategy that I trade is because once we break this high, now I know I have an indication and I'm not going to trade. I don't need to buy up here, right? Because I know price has to return. It has to, right? 90% of the time, it's going to return to that last high that we just broke, right? So we continue to push higher, right? And then this is where it also gets good is that OTE, right? So if this is the high that we just broke, price makes a new one. We make the continuation. I'm going to draw my fib from the swing low to the swing high. Look where OTE is. Look where price fucking holds, bro. Take all this stuff off so you can see clear. Right? Where's OTE? Right here. Right? So this is how we're catching them every fucking time, bro. OTE is optimal trade entry. 70% of the time, it is going to play out, bro. It is going to play out. It's just the way this shit works, bro. Like, it's crazy. Once you understand how this stuff moves, bro, like, yeah, so like usually I remember when somebody teaches you a strategy, you have to tweak it to how your mind works because the way we think is not the same. You know what I mean? Why didn't it? This is the fair value gap right here. That's a fair value gap right there. All right, on the 15-minute. Right? Let's find out again. This is also a 30-minute fair value gap. Right? So we fill the first presented fair value gap. Oh, can you see? We fill the first presented fair value gap. We touch OTE. We close at the midpoint. We swept the low inside that fair value gap. Let's go check it out. This is the low inside the fair value gap. Right? We got 1, 2, 3. This is where the fair value gap started. This is the low inside. Can you see? This is the low inside the fair value gap. right? We swept the low, and we continued higher. I'm telling you, bro, it's almost too perfect. It's almost too perfect, bro. I could go show you on NQ today. The same thing, bro. Where is New York Open? All right, so let's do one thing real quick so I can show you. All right, so let's take a look. Where the fuck did it go? Where was it at? Where the heck was it at? Where's the 15-minute FVG? Oh, here it is right here. About to say I just looked at this. The low inside the FVG. I'll zoom in again in a second so you can see. Right? Matter of fact, let me just do it one by one. Right? So let's go look at the 15-minute real quick. Or where was it? The 1 hour? Oh, it was the 1 hour. Okay, sorry. Ready? Look at this 1 hour at fair value gap. Look at the low. Look at the low inside the 1 hour fair value gap. We sweep it. Right? Now let's go look on ES. This is the low inside the 1 hour fair value gap. This is ES today. Right? So what is that called? That's called a SMT. Right? So that means ES did not sweep the low, but NQ did sweep the low. Right? As you can see right here, we close way down here. All right, so this is called a SMT. Right, so SMT on NQ, we swept the low inside a fair value gap. So guess what we do? We're gonna go down to the lower time frame, and we're gonna take an entry. All right, what can we do? Swing high, swing low. We get the inversion. Let me look on the 2-minute real quick just to look at the inversion. All right, we get the inversion up here. So that's where I'm looking for my OTE entry. I marked the 1 hour fair value gap. All right, so we get the inversion up here, right? So the first swing low is what I'm looking at, right? This is the swing, right? But this is the inversion, and the first swing low that created the push of the inversion. So I'm gonna mark out from the swing low to the swing high. Look, OTE. Why didn't it work? OTE. Right? So that, how do you know what high to leave behind? So are we looking for price to fill a gap? So for me, when I'm looking for price, if price is in a downtrend and I'm looking for a reversal, right? I need to see price sweep. Like look at this day, right? I'm looking for a reversal. Asia sells off, right? We sweep all of these lows. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna see something real quick. Is there a fair value gap? If there's not, I wouldn't take the trade. There's no fair value gap, I'm not taking the trade. All right, so now if I'm looking for sells, let's just try and find something real quick. Okay, here we go. 10-minute. All right, so London session, we're kind of bearish. I'm going to draw it from swing high to swing low. Swing high to swing low. OTE. Hold on, make this a little bit better. Where the fuck did it just go? Oh, here we go. Oops, sorry. Swing high. swing low, we get a 15-minute. Where was it? The 1 hour? What the hell? What fair value gap was it? Okay, we have a 50, or let me just take all this stuff off so you can see a little bit better. All right, we have a fair value gap right here. We get a sweep inside the fair value gap, which is this right here. So this session indicator is called, matter of fact, so I'm gonna just pull it up real quick. Take a screenshot of this. It just makes it easier. You could change this time frame limit. So basically anything above the 4 hour, it's just showing you that it doesn't show. But it's ICT, kill zones, and pivots. I'm going to show you all of it. So either screen record or take a screenshot, because the settings that it comes with are not right. So it's not going to be accurate for looking for session sweeps. I trade ICC, bro. That's all I trade. I just use a little extra confluences for my strategy. But ICC is my bread and butter. It's just entry models. That's the difference. ICC is a continuation flow. It tells you how to trade continuation. It does not tell you how to take an entry. So what I do is I teach you how to take an entry using ICC. You have to know that ICT, what is an entry? Oh, pardon me. Let me just get back to what she needs real quick. Right. So take a screen record. Right. Make sure that your Asia times and right. Just keep my settings. Feel me? Boom. Style. This doesn't matter. You could change. You don't have to change this. And then this box, or was it panel? What is it? Table. So this table, you don't really need it, but I like to use it because it tells me like, hey, Asia session's doing 100 points when it normally in the last 20 sessions, which is a month, has done 190 points. London did 240 when normally it does 230, right? So this just lets you know the range for the session. Yeah, I could take it. I could just put a screenshot in the Discord for anybody that wants it and didn't screen record. Mad small. Yeah. I make sure. Just remind me. Later. I'll make sure I do it for you. Matter of fact, let me just try and do it right now. But basically, I like this as letting me know what has happened. You could change the average. You see how it says 20. So session draw limit, you could change that however you like, right? So when I'm looking back, I put 20 because 20 is the last month, right? You only have 20 sessions in a month. I mean 20 trading sessions in a month, right? So I put 20 because I like to see the last 20. You could do like 5 or 10. You don't need to see 20, but for me, because like some days I like to go back and look, hey, London swept high, and I want to see if we broke lows, right? So I like to look at it, the last 20 sessions. You can change that however you like. That is the draw limit, right? For the time frame limit, all it is showing you is that if I go to the 4 hour, it doesn't show anymore, right? If I go to the 2 hour, it shows, right? So anything above the 2 hour, it doesn't show, right? So you could change that however you like. Also, you see at the top, it says, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You could change that as well. You could put that on the bottom right here. It says top and bottom. You could put that to the bottom if you wanted, right? It's automatically at the bottom, but I like it at the top because I just have a lot of shit crowded down here, right? And then, what's the other one? Where the fuck did it go? Oh, average length, the kill zone. What the fuck was this again? Oh, so this is just for the box, right? So if I change it to 5, which I like to do, it only shows me down here at the average. It shows me the last 5 days how much of a range each session was, right? So for the last 5 days, London session has only moved 128 points. New York session moved 300 points. New York PM session moved 260 points, right? So now I'm seeing the averages, right? So if I'm in a session right now, which we're only moved 102 points. For the last 5 sessions, Asia moved an extra 100 points. So I could be expecting another big move, right? Asia session opens up at 8 o'clock. It does not open up down here. This is not Asia session. Asia does not open up at 6 o'clock, right? You don't, like, that's just a mistake that some early traders are taught. They think that Asia session opens up at 6 p.m. It does not open up at 6 p.m. right? That is the market open. That is Sydney, Australia. That's when their market opens up. Asia does not, Shanghai, their markets do not open up until 8 p.m. 9 p.m. really, right? You have this Shanghai, and then you have like the Chinese stock exchange or some shit like that, Hong Kong stock exchange, right? So that one opens up at 8, and then one opens up at 9. I just do the 8 o'clock one because Shanghai, which is fucking Asia, and Hong Kong, bro, they're Asians. You feel me? It's all one session. That's how I look at it. You feel me? London session opens up at 2 o'clock. Well, pre-market opens up at 2 o'clock. It really opens up at 3 o'clock, right? But I do it at 2 o'clock because it's pre-market London, right? So these are just what has been more accurate for me. Every single time we have, look, London session opens up. I mean, New York session opens up. We sweep London highs, and then we come and take London low, right? That is just like an easy ICT trade. That is what ICT trades you. If we take swing highs, you aim for swing lows, right? So if you have the indicator on wrong, they put it at like they start Asia at like 9 o'clock. It ends at 12 o'clock, which is wrong. They start London at like 1 o'clock. It ends at like 8 o'clock. I'm not. You feel me? So that he said I'm not gonna scam you, bro. What happened? What you mean? You feel me? So that is like you just gotta make sure these sessions are correct. Because when I first started trading in this and I didn't know that, and I'm like, damn, why does this shit keep happening to me? And I realized that the settings were wrong. The only thing is a little bit different too is that I have the ORB, right? So this is just the opening range breakout. I have it from 8 to 8:15, right? I put that there in myself because a lot of the times the ORB is respected, right? If we go back and look, this is the ORB, the orb, open range breakout, right? Price does not get really any candle closures above the ORB. So now when it comes to trading, the morning session, I might not be looking for buys only because we opened up and we continue to respect this fair value gap, right? And we couldn't close above the open range, right? So this is, don't have to have that on your screen. You don't have to, right? So what are the mods? What do you mean? Like, what are my settings? Oh, where are the mods? Oh shit. Where's Jacob? Jacob, he's here. He must have fell asleep or some shit. Yeah, I see what he's saying. I don't even know how to. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You need a broker? I tell my brokers I don't gatekeep my brokers. So if we're in a range, um, I'm honestly just like I'm not aiming for 300-400 points. I'm gonna aim for 100 points, right? I'm gonna add an extra mini so I can make a decent money instead of trading one mini, getting 100 points, only making $1,000. No, 100 points on one mini is like 4,000. I'm bugging, right? This is how I check shit. I just be forgetting shit sometimes. I just go to limit order. Why isn't my limit popping up? Oh, here we go. All right, I'll drag my TP 100 points. How many? If there's 400. Oh, hold on. From 100 down to 900 or to 100, $2,000. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so like what I would do, I would go watch Trades by Side on his YouTube and watch his trading strategy. That is what I learned. And then like for me, like I just like when I like breakouts, right? I don't take the candle breakout because to me that's invalid, right? That could be just a manipulation. 9 times out of 10 it is. I like for price to break levels and hold that level to push higher. That or lower. It doesn't have to always be higher, right? If we break a high, I need price to come back to the high or OTE like it did right here, right? We broke the high, broke highs, came back down to OTE, and then we pushed higher, right? So this is what I like to trade right here, right? I don't, right? We're intraday traders. We're only trading the intraday. So we're not aiming to catch the whole fucking move. You know what I mean? This is what we're trying to catch. Long position off OTE, right? To the highs. Stop loss at the next deviation band, right? This is a 6RR trade. You feel what I'm saying? So this is what I'm trying to get. I don't need to catch it all the way the fuck down here and hope to get all the way back up here at the highs, right? That's just the reality. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so as long as price respects, right? One candle goes on. So it just depends on what time frame. What time frame are you in, right? Because if it's a higher time frame, one candle might be okay. But for me, like I need candles to be touching. Like the once you start to see rejections at a certain level, right? You see how we continue to get rejections at this level? Rejection, rejection. We try and break out, rejection. We try and break out, rejection. Right? So what is this telling us? That buyers, okay, I'm sorry, you guys can't even fucking see, right? Look at this. We stop here. We stop here. Look at this candle come all the way up and it closes underneath this candle, right? We come all the way up. This is the 3-minute, by the way, and we close under this candle. So what's that telling you? That somebody does not want price to go higher, right? That every fucking time somebody is trying to push price out of this area, price does not want to go higher. So what are we looking for? I'm not looking for longs, right? I'm not looking for longs no more. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to get into the lower time frame and I'm going to look to see what's going on, right? So kind of what I'm looking for is that I see that there is a trend line resistance. Trend line support, right? Prices touching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We can't get underneath this zone, right? So now, let's just draw a box sideways, right? So this is the level that price cannot get above. And then look at this low. Look at this low. You gotta remember, guys, this is another thing. This, let me just take this shit off. I can't see shit, right? This is support, not this. This is not support. Where is all of the candle touches? Right here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? This is called the false breakout. This is trapping sellers. That's what, good, right? This is a trap, right? This also is an indication in ICC, right? Because this is the low, this is a new low. Low, lower low, right? So this is our indication because price puts in a new lower low, right? So when price gets back above this zone, there's nothing, right? I'm not taking no trades yet, right? We take buys above the zone and we sell below the zone, right? So what happens? Price breaks the low, we retest it, and we do not hold. The minute we get a candle closure, right? It just depends on what you like. For me, I'm OTE guy, right? I want OTE entries, I want equilibrium entries, right? I see prices holding equilibrium. And to be honest, this is like, watch this. Swing low, swing high, OTE. Price taps OTE perfectly, right? Swing, oops, let me just make this, right? Swing high, swing low, price comes to OTE. So now what I do is I'm moving this down to that OTE candle, and then I'm moving this down to the next swing low. So now, look, where price comes and touches OTE again, right? So now I have my confluences, right? You make so much sense. Finally, don't get me wrong. I love the knowledge. Yeah, listen, a lot of people tell me that just because of the way I explain things that they like it. They get off from what they're learning because how I try and break it down. That's why I like Sai so much, is because he made it so easy. Like trading is not as hard as it seems. You don't need all these terminologies. I love using ICT terminologies because 90% of traders know a market structure shift, a break of structure, a liquidity sweep. These are things that you actually need to know, but you do not need to trade them, right? Order blocks, like it's good to know them just to be able to be part of the lingo, but you don't need to fucking trade them. You feel what I'm saying? Understanding where structure is, learning the breakout and the retest. That is all this shit is. That is, listen, 90% of traders that actually make real money are using OTE, are using break and retest, and are using vwap and order flow. Order flow is another thing we'll get to later. But this is what is being taught, and this is where real money is being made. And not, listen, you can make money in ICT, but I kid you not, 90% of all people that make money trading ICT do not only trade ICT. They use order flow. They use other things that they just don't teach you, right? And that's just the reality of trading. You talk fast. I know I talk fast as hell. You just gotta slow that shit down. I talk so fast. Yo, that's fast. That's facts. I talk fast. I've been taught that shit my whole life, bro. So you apply, yes. You listen. You can apply wow. You can apply OTE to anything. It doesn't always have to be the correction, right? Higher time frame. I'm using OTE to find out where my. So basically, you're finding out where the retracement is coming to. That is basically what OTE is. Is anytime price breaks the low or breaks a structure and puts in a new low or a new high, you need a retracement, right? Any like look at this. We just dump. We have to have a retrace. It has to. So let's find out where the retrace comes to. Look. Ready? Just so you can see how I do it, right? So swing low, swing high, swing low. Right? Price does not touch OTE, right? It does not get there. But what does price do? Price makes, oh my God, price makes a new swing low. So I'm going to extend my fib to the new swing low. I'm not going to change the swing high. Look where price comes. Price comes all the way down and it comes right back to OTE. Right? If you would have took this trade at OTE, short position here, stop loss at the highs, look, you were good. Right? Target the swing low again. That's a 3.7R. All right, if you target the external structure, which was this is like a fucking a 7R, right? What a fib called? The fib is just called the fib extension or the fib retracement. That's the tool. But we use OTE, which is between 705 and 618. So let's say you get in supply and demand at a retest. Can you show an example of waiting for continuation without letting the supply and demand theory kick out and hold that zone? Okay, let me try and see what you understand. Let me try and explain it to you and see if I understand what you're saying correctly. All right, so now that we make that new low, right, I'm gonna put my fib from the swing low that we just made, which was here, right? I'm gonna put it at the or swing high. Sorry, I just keep getting I'm jumbled up today. So I'm gonna bring it down. Where the heck is it? Oh, down to this swing low. Now look what this touches. Price comes all the way to OTE, guys. You feel what I'm saying? So now this is the new anchor point. We anchor it from here to the swing low. All right. We reject it. Guess what? We got stopped out on this one, right? So it's never 100%, right? But this is the thing, though. This is the thing. The reason why these worked is because we didn't break any swing highs, right? Price did not come back up and break any swing highs, right? So for me to hold, let me take all this stuff off real quick so you can see a little bit better. So for me to try and take a trade here, it would make sense, right? Why? Because we broke the swing high right here, right? Never did we break above the highs. We use this as resistance, right? So we can use OTE. But the minute we break the high, now I'm not looking for shorts no more. I'm looking for continuation, right? We continue to make new higher highs. High, equal highs. We make a new higher high right here. So now I have 1, 2, 3 highs in a row, right? So now I'm looking for where my retrace would be, right? So you could go from the swing low to the swing high, which is this high right here, and look where we touch. OTE, You see what I'm saying? So this is why we wouldn't have took that sell. Even though, look, we touch it and we sell it back to OTE. You see what I'm saying? So like this is where it just gets a little bit tricky of understanding um, which way you want to take the trade. The only thing I can say is go with structure. This is the 1 minute. You never follow structure on the 1 minute. Icon was good, my boy. I'm gonna tell you when the correction is done. But you never ever ever, the 1 minute is not structure. Do not ever say, hey, I'm going to take a trade here and I'm going to put my stop loss at this protected low, because that's not a protected low. The 1 minute is noise. You have to use the 5 and the 15 minute as protected lows. You have to. It's just the reality of what this is, right? The 5 and 15 minute are going to give you a better structured stop loss instead of noise. You see what I'm saying? So, how do you know when the correction is over? The correction is over at the high that we break. So let's just go to the 4-hour real quick and I'm going to show you an example. Right? Or let me go to a lower time frame, a 2-hour or something like that, just so it makes it easier. All right, so let's just do it like this. Ready? This was what, last year, November? Right? So 4 point, right? So what's going on, right? We continue to, let me just try and find an easy one. Okay, here we go. Super easy. We had a downtrend. We break it, right? We had all these lower lows, all of these lower lows, all of these lower highs. We finally break the first high. So I'm just going to draw the box at the resistance, right? The correction comes to the resistance. That's all that you're doing, right? So we break the high. The correction ends right here. If the correction comes underneath of here, look, we got a fair value gap that lines up with resistance. This is where my correction ends. So if price gets underneath of this area, we're not looking for buys anymore until price decides to get back above this area. You see what I'm saying? That's how the correction works, right? So it's the same thing. This is the high. This is where the correction ends, at the high. So we get the indication above this level. So indication just means that above this level, we are bullish, right? So this was the support and resistance trade right here, right? Anything below, we're bearish. Anything above, we're bullish, right? So I get the bullish push. So this is the impulse. So also remember that if price breaks a high, this is called price discovery. That price is trying to find a new balanced market. A balanced market is when price goes sideways. It means everybody agrees upon the price. The minute we break out, that's called price discovery, and price wants to find a new balance, right? So this was a balanced range. We had from the 70s to the 200s, or from the 170 to 200, price was balanced. We break out and we find a new high at 300 level, right? At 300. What do? We have to find a new balance. So what does price do? Price pulls back and we find a new range between 200 and 300, basically 290, right? So now this is our new balanced market, right? So now what has to happen? Price has to go in price discovery and find a new range, right? So what do? I'm just going to mark out the high, right? So if this is my resistance level, right? The reason why I'm using this as my resistance is because these are false breakouts, because price gets right back underneath of it. You see what I'm saying? So this was the indication that price could go higher, and then we never can get back. I'm going to make it a little bit better right here, right? We can never get back above above this level. We continue to stay under. Look, we get here, we come back down, we close. We come up, we come back down, we close, right? We continue to touch this level. Why is this level significant? Because this is my indication. This is my indication that price could travel higher. All right? This was the high. This is my new higher high, right? So if this is my low, what is this? My new higher low. You see what I'm saying? So this is my indication. This is my correction. Price has to turn this resistance into support, which it does, right? So now what do? I'm looking at the next sets of highs right here, right? I create a high, like you see how we break above this high, right? And then we come back to it, but we don't hold. If I go to a lower time frame, you see that we flush right through it. So I'm not looking for longs, right? So realistically, like if we just look at it like this without knowing what happens next, if we break this high right here and we start to make a new higher high, this is my first indication price may go higher. So now this is my last previous high. I want price to hold at this high to go higher. What happens? Price does not hold, and we kind of, use it as resistance, and we push lower back down to this level, right? So once we get back to it, I'm just going to draw it out. Look what happens. We get a look at this candle, right? Do we have any candles like this that broke a high that closed above the high and at the resistance? No, right? Equal high, right? We get a breakout, but this is again what we're talking about. We don't get any candles like this, right? So let's just look at it again, right? So this was the high that we created, which was this high right here, the last previous high. So now what is that? This is my indication that price has a potential to go higher, right? So where's my correction? My correction is to the high. This is the high, right? This is a fair value gap. So now we have, what do we have? We have confluences, right? We have a resistance, we have a support level, that price, oh, watch this, look. We have lows that got swept inside of a fair value gap. Fair value gap, we got lows that got swept inside a fair value gap. I'm going to mark out OTE from the swing low to the swing high. And as you can see, we touch OTE. Right? So I have a sweep already. I have a fair value gap, shows that means it's called displacement. That shows that there is more buyers in the market creating an unbalance. We break the high. So, right, we break this high. So we close above it. We retest the OTE. Right? We hold the fair value gap. Right? If I draw the fair value gap, you can see that we hold the midpoint of this fair value gap. Right? So now what do I do? Let's go down to like the 5 minute, the 3 minute, something like that. Oh, it's probably going to be too far back. I don't even remember where it was. I hate that. But regardless, I'm just going to show you, right? So we get the indication above this high that we're bullish. We come back down, we hold the fair value gap, which happens to be OTE. Now look what happens. I'm going to draw another line, right? Because this, again, is just another support and resistance, right? Another supply and demand. We got resistance at the top, we got support at the bottom, right? So what happens? I'm going to draw it from the body to the wick. Look what price does. We get a new indication in this little, in the 15 minute, oh, sorry. We have this indication on the 15 minute, right? We have our accumulation right here. We got the manipulation of price sweeping the low. And then we break out above the high, we retest it, and then we push higher, right? So on the lower time frame, you get to see it play out, right? So that is just kind of how I'm looking for, right? I want price to continue to break highs and retest the highs that we continue to break. Once price breaks underneath of them, so basically how you find a reversal and understand the ICC is over is like this, right? 4 hour, we get this low right here. As a matter of fact, that's just a hard one to mark out, to be honest. Let me try and find an easy one. Because gold is very bullish, so it's very hard to like understand gold is always bullish. I see exactly what you're saying, exactly the theory I came up with that indicator. So that's good. That's good that you're understanding it without needing all the indicators. You know what I mean? Like, look at this. We break the high with a fair value gap. 90% of the time that you break a high with a fair value gap, bro, it's almost a perfect telltale sign that price is pushing higher. You feel me? Look at the fair value gap. Look at the swing lows inside the fair value gap, right? So we get a sweep inside the fair value gap. We already have, look, the last candle, right? So what does that mean? This is my indication that price has a chance to go higher. This is my correction. And then this is my continuation. You see what I'm saying? So, all right, once you get candles like this and you close back where support was, you best believe, bro, price does not want to go lower. The only time where I'm ready to trade this, like say you get a candle like this, and then the next couple candles are holding, turning this into support, into resistance, and then I'm looking to take the trade. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to try and find one. It's just like this, just the opposite, right? We break above the high, price is holding above the new previous high, right? So now I'm already knowing this is support. I'm not looking to sell unless we break underneath of it. That's another thing that most people fuck up on, is that they start to see, lower highs, not knowing that this is a support level. So you can't sell. You can sell into support, but most people are looking, say, hey, I'm going to take a sell here, and then I'm going to target this unfilled fair value gap down here, or I'm going to target this swing low. And it's like, bro, you're shooting for the stars. You didn't even break this support level yet. Why are you aiming way down here? You know what I mean? You got to look at the market as in sections, right? Once price ranges, you have to wait for breakout top or bottom. Like this example. Right? We got resistance at the top. Right? We got support right here. Right? So we know. Right? So we know that if price wants to get above this level, that will give us an indication price wants to go higher. If price breaks this level, this is my indication that price has the potential to go lower. So what am I looking for? I see that price broke this low with a fair value gap, meaning there was a lot of volume. So I'm going to draw my fib level from swing high to swing low. Price touches OTE perfectly. So now, again, once you get good at OTE, you'll understand that this is your entry, right? But if you want to be smart and have a higher win rate, you wait for this, right? So again, if price would have stayed above support, guess what? We take longs, right? But it never did. Oh, sorry. If price would have got above resistance, we take longs. But price got above support and then immediately got under and turned support into resistance, right? We tried to get above, we reject OTE, and then this was support. Price kept bouncing above this high, right? Guess what? Now it's rejecting this high. So what do we do? Again, I could put mine from swing high to swing low, right? This one, again, it respects equilibrium this time. It doesn't really touch OTE, but I don't really need OTE for this trade because I've already had it here and we're rejecting support. We're turning it into resistance, right? So what can we do? We could go down to the smaller, hold on, let me see where I'm at real quick. If I go down to like the 15 minute, let's check it out. Yeah, look. We reject OTE. We make a lower high, which this is OTE again. If I draw the fib from swing high to swing low, OTE, right? OTE again. From swing high to swing low, look. OTE again, which happens to be underneath resistance, turning this support into resistance. Watch. From swing low to swing high. OTE again, which was right here. Right? So I'm already getting lower highs, and price continues to give me more selling signals, right? We have our high, lower high, lower high, lower high. You know what I mean? We got the low, new lower low. So I'm looking for anything below this level, which was this low right here, anything below it, right? So price may stay above it a little bit. We get below it, we come back, retest it. If we do not start to close above this level to hold, 9 times out of 10, it has to go make a new low. So we're going to take this low out, right? So again, we start to look for other lows. And look what happens. We just flush. So like, look, if I draw a box at this level right here, look what happens again. We turn this support into resistance right here, right? We use that as support to go higher. We get underneath of it. We reject it. Once we reject it 1, 2, 3 times, I'm shorting that shit. I'm not looking for longs. There's nothing telling me that longs are the play. You see what I'm saying? So yes, like I said earlier, like a lot of this stuff is always going to be very similar. It's just how you define it and how you look at it. You know what I mean? Remember, I told you this is the first presented fair value gap. So instead of taking a short at this fair value gap, I need the first one to be presented, the first one to be touched, right? So we right here probably would have been my entry, right? We take it off this one, stop loss at the high, right? Target the lows, right? This is a 4R trade. You know what I mean? Like that's really how I look at this shit, bro. You can like I just don't. It's just the repetition. It's understanding it and doing it over and over and over and over and over again. Right? This is the high. Look at this wick. Guess what I'm doing? I'm drawing a box at the wick. So the minute we broke above it, this is my indication, right? Because look, this is the high, this is the high, this is the high. Did candles ever close above them? Right? If we started, here, went here, and then we went here, right? We have no candles closing above the swing highs, right? So we make a high right here. We get we get a, not even just candles, we get an indication that price wants to go higher. We get a nice push, right? So as long as this level holds, which it does, guess what we're doing? We're longing that shit. The minute this shit holds, we break the trend line. Look at the fair value gap right here, right? We hold it. I'm pushing that shit higher. You feel me? That's just how I'm looking at the market. Like days like this is hard. I promise you. This is the days everybody blows their account because support and resistance does not have to be sideways. And nobody is telling you guys that. Support and resistance is not always sideways. It does not have to be like this. I promise you. Support and resistance, this is called trend line support, is when price is respecting the trend line and is respecting it as support, right? What is this called? Trend line resistance, right? Price is respecting this zone, right? It never has to be sideways. So if you see this, you don't have to be like this. Oh, this is support, right? Because even though it can be, it's a lot easier on your mind to understand that trends happen, right? That we get higher lows and higher highs, but we're still within a range. You see what I'm saying? So that is the most important part. So what we're looking for is the internal range to start making sense, right? So as we see in this range, what is going on? We make a high, we make equal highs, right? This is the high right here. We make equal highs, make equal highs, right? Look at the lows. So this is where you have to pay attention. What is the market doing? In this trendline support, if we're getting higher lows each time, that is um a bullish channel, right? The opposite would be getting, lower lows in the channel. So once I start to see that we're getting higher lows inside this channel, I need to see a high be broken, right? Did this high get broken? No. Right? Did this high get broken? No. Did this high get broken? No. This is the only high that got broken. So I'm going to draw my line out from here. So let me delete all this shit off the chart. Let me do it again. Right? No highs have ever been broken. Structured highs, right? We're in the 15-minute. If we go to the 1 hour, we could do the same thing, right? No highs have ever been broken, right? So the minute we break a high, which is this right here, so now I'm just going to draw my box, right? This is the first high that has ever been broken, right? These highs right here. So this is my indication price wants to go higher. This is my correction. You want to draw OTE or should I? Swing low to the swing high. Guess where fucking OTE is? Right here, right? So price comes, we tap OTE, we push higher. So look, swing high, right? We get it. Fair value gap, price closes. So now I'm looking for price to be long. I'm not looking for shorts, right? Price is giving me, I'll show you in a bearish way too. All right, so the 15-minute time frame, right? We have the highs, price breaks above it, giving me indications, right? We use this last high that we broke as support. Price never gets beneath of it, right? So this is where it goes a step farther. It's like you could be patient and wait for the next high to be broken. Because if you take a trade here, we see that sellers push price down, right? So if you take a long here, without it, holding as support, sellers could push you right back down, right? So what we need is for price to break out of the resistance and use it as support, right? So we break out the resistance right here. We break out, we come back down, but we finally get closure over the next candle, right? So I'm just drawing it every single time price makes a new high, right? So now we broke above this high, indication, correction. The correction ends at the high, right? So anytime we break a high, this is the high that we broke, this is where the correction ends. It's never going to end down here. The wick may come out and stop you out. This is just called a stop hunt. This might have been a news day, right? But the correction ends where the high was previously. Let me just draw it here because this is the high that was broken, right? We break it. So this is the correction where it ends, right? We come above, come back down. So now we cannot look for a new correction until the next high is broken, right? So if we make the high, so if we come down, make the correction, come up, right? So now this is the high. So now we need this to turn into support. So, right, we get it. So even though right here, this candle right here would have fucked me up, I probably would have waited for a new high to be formed, which it did, and then for us to use this one as support, right? Because of this candle closed way down here. So yes, you could take the trade up here and look for longs, but since price rejected this one and pushed us down, if price came back up here, it could push us down again. That's just the difference. Is price has to be in discovery where there's nothing new, if that makes sense. Right? Anytime price breaks the high and goes to look for higher highs, that's price discovery. Right? So we know that once we broke this high, indication, correction, once we start to, be bullish from this correction, there's nothing here that is showing us resistance, right? So we should continue to take the trend until resistance is formed, right? Until we find a higher time frame resistance area, right? So which would be like this, or this high right here. This was resistance. So what did price do? Price said, fuck resistance, we're turning this shit into support. So you see what I'm saying? You have to understand that price goes from resistance to breaking resistance in a bullish trend. It'll go from resistance of you rejecting it to you breaking above it, right? So, right, we reject it, now we break above it. So now instead of being resistance, now we're support. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So now again, it's the same fucking thing. Price is holding this trend line support. This one's giving us a bullish flag though. So we're getting a squeeze. This is called this is called a short squeeze, meaning that the people who took shorts are getting squeezed out their position, right? So I have a bullish flag, right? So I'm getting higher lows and I'm getting lower highs. right? This is the first break of the candle that we ever broke above the highs, which is right here. So this one we never got a retrace. So we, we may have not been in this trade. You see what I'm saying? Because the retrace came back down and we kind of chopped at the area, right? So we get the indication, we get the correction. There's no liquidity sweep. There's nothing. There's no fair value gap that's being held, right? So we just have to be careful and learn that just because price has made the indication and the correction, we have to use OTE. We have to use liquidity sweeps, fair value gaps. We got to use something else that pairs along with it, just so we're not getting manipulated. You know what I mean? That's just like just the little stuff that you tend to start to, pick up on, right? So we break beneath the low, we retest it, we go lower. So I'm just gonna draw a box at the next low. Matter of fact, look at this, right? So remember, support and resistance, right? Zones. So we see that this is the zone. What does price do? Price disrespects support and we turn it into resistance. We can't get above. Price is like, look, support, we push higher, right? So we have two levels right here that price pushed us up to this level. Price said, "Nah, I'm coming back down." Instead of pushing back up like it should, we get underneath. So this is my indication. Price wants to go lower. This is my correction back to this level right here. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Again, gold is a lot cleaner, bro. I promise you. Doing this shit with gold is so fucking clean. But when you try an NQ, it's just a little bit because NQ is more in a range. It's a range breakout type of trade, right? NQ is just you battle the range, bro. Like it's tough. It is tough. But once you finally so for me it's like let's do silver. Silver is the same thing as gold. Silver, look at the gold chart. I mean, look at silver chart and then look at the gold chart. Did anything change? Barely, right? Barely. They mimic each other. You know what I mean? So basically what I'm looking for, like with silver. Okay, so again, I use vwap. vwap is my bread and butter. So when it comes to these things right here, 9 times out of 10, vwap is your support. vwap is your resistance. So if we're on top of vwap and then we sell off to vwap, sweeping liquidity, guess what? We're going higher. You know what I mean? So like that's just another day, right? We gotta take this shit slowly. I gotta teach you market structure. I gotta teach you how the market moves, and then we can start to add indicators that actually help and that are not lagging indicators, right? VWAP and volume profile are volume-based indicators, so that means it moves as the day goes on, right? Certain indicators, the MACD, RSI, they're lagging indicators. They tell you what happened after the move has been made, right? So we don't use them indicators. We use things that actually make a difference, that actually big time players actually use, right? Guys that are using, 10,000 lots, 100,000 lots, $1 billion positions. They use VWAP because that is right. If I'm trying to get into a trade or out of a trade, I need to make sure that this trade holds its value, right? So, meaning is that I don't want to sell too high and I don't want to buy too low. Or, pardon me, I just said that backwards. I don't want to buy too high and I don't want to sell too low. So VWAP is giving you the volume weighted average price, right? So when people are taking hundreds of millions of dollars of positions, they're looking at VWAP to make sure that they're getting a good price for their trade. So that is why VWAP is so successful. What swap do you use? What do you mean? Oh, what VWAP do you use? So I use the indicator right here, volume weighted on the bottom right here. So I'm always using session, monthly, and weekly. I don't have my chart looking like this. So I always use one at a time, right? So I'll turn on session. So if it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like Monday, Tuesday, I'm gonna look at monthly VWAP, right? So if I'm looking at monthly VWAP, I see that we reject it every fucking time, right? This middle line is VWAP. The top one is called +1, and this is -1, or top deviation band and minus deviation. Right? So +1, -1, VWAP. The middle is always VWAP. Right? So I'm seeing that every single time we get to VWAP, we're rejecting VWAP to push lower. Right? We're rejecting VWAP to push lower. So the minute we get above VWAP, guess what we're doing? We're longing. Right? So once I see that we reject VWAP, we get underneath of it. This right here is my entry, and guess where I'm taking my TP at is back here at -1, because as you can see, -1, right, or bottom band is holding as support, right? So you just basically go into your settings right here. I use session, weekly, monthly. I always have 3 of them on my chart, right? So I always get to see where we're being rejected and where we're being respected, right? VWAP, every fucking time price runs in a direction, it is always going to a monthly, weekly, yearly, it doesn't matter. It's always going to a VWAP level. That is where balance is, right? So if we're trading outside of VWAP, like we are, listen, I bet you right now, look where weekly VWAP is, and then come back tomorrow or Friday and tell me if we didn't come back to VWAP. Right? You're always coming back to VWAP, just like this, just like today's session. Look what we did. Right? So this is session VWAP, right? Look what we did. We broke out of VWAP, and we started to trend. We get into price discovery, right? This is the high. Right? We break above it. We are so bullish that we don't even come back down to it. We kind of hold this order block right here. We push higher, right? We hold this support. We push higher. Once we close back inside, like this is where you learn, this is called a mean reversion trade, right? Remember I told you, if we break above VWAP, if we break above a high and we want it to hold indication, this is my correction to this level right here, correction. As you can see, we don't hold. This candle, we get a push up, we don't break the highs. We don't break these lows right here, and we immediately get underneath of it. So guess what I want? I need a rejection off of this level. So now I know I'm underneath this top band. So if I get underneath this top band and I reject support, this was resistance, right? It was supposed to be turned into support. It never did. And now I use it as resistance again. So guess what I'm doing? I am taking my sell here, and then I'm going to target the lows, right? Or I'm going to target VWAP. Either way, right? That's just how this works. So I'm going to draw the box, and as you can see, this was our support and resistance level, right? So price tried to escape, sellers hop back in, we get underneath, right? So if sellers pushed us from here to here, so that means if we get underneath, what are the chances of us going back here? 90 fucking percent. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what fucking happens. So I would have sold, and this would have been what? 200 ticks, right? At $10 a tick, that's a $2,000 trade. So that's how this shit works. Now look at it again. We reject. So what are the odds of price coming back down to support? Almost 90%, right? So that is where we would have took a sell again, right here, right? Guess what? If you missed that sell, you could have took the trade on OTE from here to here. Look where OTE is, right? That is how this shit works, guys. So you got to remember support and resistance. If it rejects resistance, it's most likely going to go back to support. If we get above and we don't hold, guess where it has to go? Back down to where the buyers are. Listen, price is going from buyers breaking up and trying to find new buyers to push it higher. If it does not find new buyers, it has to go back down to where they previously were, right? And vice versa. If price goes down, finds sellers, comes back up to where previous sellers were and pushes price lower, that's just how this shit works, right? So let's go back and show you one more time. It's currently retesting a holding. right? So right now we are holding, but what is going on, right? Look at this low. Look at these swing lows right here, right? So I'm drawing my box like this, right? We reject. This is the like, right? This is the new swing low right here. We reject, right? So now, like again, I'm just finding my zones, right? Finding my zones. I'm finding my inner zones and I'm waiting. I'm trying to exploit them, right? So now I know if buyers push price from here to here, right? Buyers push price from here to here. So if buyers could get back above this level, this is where I'm going to long, right? That is just kind of what I'm looking for. If price doesn't and we continue to reject, and then that's where I take my sell, is when price actually rejects this level and we can take a sell, right? So just remember, like, we're using pivots, right? Low, low. I'm drawing my box right there, right? So what do we do again? We make a high, we make a low. Draw your box. All right, now we have our lowest low right here, right? So you get to see the range, right? Oh, we didn't get above the range, we got below it. So now we're just coming right back to the next low. Does that make sense? Right? But we have to remember the overall trend, right? So let's just draw our fib real quick. Swing high to the swing low. We're respecting equilibrium, so that means sellers are stepping in earlier, right? Let's find out. Let's go to the 10-minute real quick. There's no fair value gaps. Price has already swept this one, right? We kind of reclaim it. Doesn't really do anything, right? So where is our next level? Right, so we're just going to look for the low inside this fair value gap. Right, we have this right here. These are big, especially when, like, these are called order blocks. How I describe them, it's just an order block, right? And it also lines up with our session low, right? So I'm expecting, and this is a fair value gap, right? So I'm expecting this. I want price to come sweep. If price is going to be bullish, we're going to go long from this. We're going to sweep this low. Price may consolidate at this level, tap, reclaim to push higher, right? So you got to remember, if price breaks a level and reclaims it, right? We break the level, reject, but we hurry up and reclaim, we're most likely going to go long from here. Just like this, right? We broke the low, but we reclaimed, and let me make it a little bit more accurate so you can see. Right, from the body of the candle to the wick, right? So we broke it, and then we reclaimed, instead of using as resistance, we used it as support, right? If we go and look at the time frames again, where's our resistance? Right, we have resistance at this level right here, right? Price used it as support, we use it as resistance, 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 we use it as what? Support. So now what happened? We just flipped, right? Anytime you see that, now the market has flipped. There's no more resistance at this level. So that means it has to go find a new level. Does that make sense? Right? Rejection, rejection, rejection. We break above. My new indication that price has a chance to go higher. This is my correction, right? We hold it as support instead of rejecting it, right? We hold it as support. We get an IFVG right here, enter right here. Right? Ride it for however fucking long that you're able to, right? Yeah, exactly. That's all that it is. Honestly, it's a form of break and retest. That's literally all this shit is, guys. And again, this is where I just like ICC so much, is that this is my indication, right? That we have potential. But we start to see that we reject it. So it's not bad that you took this sell, right? Especially if you're targeting the lows, right? Because again, take the sell off the rejection, target the lows. This is a 500 tick play. 500 ticks. If you're trading 1 mini, which is 10 micro contracts, this is a $5,000 trade. You see what I'm saying? Right? Even if you used five micros, right? This is a $3,000 trade, bro. Okay, let's say just 3 micros, right? This is a $1,600 trade, bro. Off 3 fucking micros? Come on, that's fire. That's fire, right? So we take the sell, we target the lows, right? Target the lows, which would have been like right here. So let's say you target these lows, right? That's a $1,500 trade. You literally just passed half of your account if you're an eval, right? So now you're good. So now what happens? I'm looking at this low here, right? What does price do? We get a crazy ass inverse almost immediately, right? So we use it as support, which happens to be OTE. Swing low to the swing high. We tap OTE, right? We use another inverse fair value gap, right? From swing low to swing high. Let's see if our levels are being respected. Swing low to swing high. We touch our equilibrium, right? We turn resistance into support. So now why would I be looking for sells, right? We already seeing all of this buy side starting to happen, right? We break resistance. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We got 13 10-minute candles that cannot break above this level. 13, right? So once we finally broke above this level with a fair value gap, you best believe that we're coming to retest to go higher, bro. Yes, I'm always waiting for the pullback. I'm never, you see how we just break here? So 9 times out of 10, they're telling you to enter on the break, and I don't believe in that. I want the retest because the retest is going to give you the better entry, right? If we take the break, long position on the break, right? Matter of fact, they tell you to take it on the candle closure. So if you take the candle closure, look what you have to do. You enter, you're in drawdown, and then it may get you on profit, right? But if you enter on the retrace of the resistance turning into support, look where your entry is. You literally get 0 fucking drawdown. You could get a super tight 5-point drawdown, right? And you're able to have a higher win rate because you're not being fooled out. Exactly, there's a way higher chance because you have to have a bigger stop loss, right? Look at this. You take the entry up here. Now you have 200 points. That's a $2,000. That's if you take five minis. I mean 5 micros. That's $1,000 worth of drawdown that you're in automatically, right? So that is why I always wait for the pullback. Listen, if the pullback doesn't happen, fuck it. Guess what? It wasn't for you. You see what I'm saying? Fuck that trade. Come back later. Like, it's going to happen. There will be a way for you to get into the trade. You see what I'm saying? Like, look, we get this. Look at this candle. We get the pullback to the high. Look at this high right here. Pullback to the high. Right? Candle sweep inside the FVG. These are the candles. We sweep them. You feel what I'm saying? I'm in. I'm getting in right there. Price is showing me it's holding. I'm getting in. Boom. No fucking drawdown. I'm always looking. Yeah, exactly. So okay, because I was looking to make a zone from the pullback and let price respect that zone. Yeah, so as long as you're again like you're already using support and resistance, right? You're already using supply and demand. So instead of trading inside of that supply and demand range, what you need to do is wait for the breakout and the retest. Because that's listen, I'm not telling you that inside the range is a bad trade. It's just that they're lower probability. If you could wait for the breakout and the retest, you're trading the trend. You're trading higher time frame. Even though you take your entry on the 5 minute, 2 minute, whatever, right? You're trading the actual, the extension, right? The expansion of the move instead of the manipulation or the correction of the move. Because we could take the sells, right? We could see that there is what, a order block right here, right? Price takes the order block. We could take the sell here, but why would we target anything down here when we're making nothing but higher lows, right? So what are the odds of price coming down here, right? So you may get from the 712 all the way down to 680, which is what, 20, that's a 40-point move. But why, when you can wait for the correction, take the trade and actually get a fucking 100-point move, 170 points, right? That is the difference. Is that, I'm not saying you, but ICT traders are taking the liquidity sweep, which would be, this right here, and trying to get the inverse back down to the lows when that doesn't happen in continuations. If gold is going higher and you take a liquidity sweep of London high and try and target London lows on gold, you're getting cooked. You see what I'm saying? Because it doesn't fucking work. I see gold is going to give you the indication, the correction, and continue in the trend, right? Listen, bro, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Imagine trading all of last year, right? All of from November till January 27th. Look at this. You're in a straight bull run. You're in a straight bull run. You get one day we drop, one day we consolidate, one day we, right? So if you're trying to target the lows, you're cooked, bro. If you take a sell from a fair value gap and try and target these lows, you got stopped out. We sweep these highs, you try and target the lows, you got stopped out, right? Price retraced on you, right? We sweep these highs, you try and take an inverse down to these lows, you got stopped out. You see what I'm saying? There's never a sell in a bullish trend. And that is what ICT is trying to teach you, is that take London highs and sell the London low. Like if I turn this session shit on and you go and see, you'll see that London's never get took, bro. London highs never, ever. I mean, yeah, London lows never get took in trends, bro. Look, bro. Since March, London low, retrace. Look, London low, London low, London low, London low. All right, London low. All right, we do get a take right here, but we're in chop, right? So when you're in trend continuations, bro, you're not really retracing to previous session lows and shit like that. Even when you're in a downtrend, you're not going to sweep highs, bro. Like, that's just the thing. That is why ICT, in my opinion, is fugazi. It doesn't work as, yes, it works. But when most people that are trading are targeting the wrong things, instead of taking 16, 20, 30 points, they're targeting 100, 200 points, and they're getting stopped out. You know what I mean? That's just the problem. NQ, listen, NQ is all the same thing, right? It all works the same exact way, right? I'm using the same type of trading style. It's just that for NQ, it's just like you're going to get more range-based trades, so you kind of have to wait a little bit longer in order to take the trade, or you just have to size down. Like, okay, for instance, today, let's just go look at today, right? Where the fuck is it? 9:30 open. It's right here. All right, so this is 9:30 open. What did price do? This is support, right? Where did price break out of? Support or resistance? Where did price break out of? If this is resistance and this is support, where is our breakout? Right here. So what happened? We broke, we retest. Let's go find out if it's OTE. Okay, this time it's equilibrium. It's still the same thing, right? Equilibrium is a good entry. So this is the thing. If we get a clean rejection off of equilibrium and we start to displace, I'm not looking for OTE. But 90% of the, matter of fact, let me go down to the 1 minute and make sure I did this correctly before I talk. Yeah, that could be it. Hold on, I actually gotta do it real quick. So remember, anytime we make a high, make a low, I'm gonna draw it there. Nope, we don't touch OTE. Yep, so this is again like this is the last bullish candle. We don't break above it, we use it as resistance. Right? So you don't always have to use OTE, right? All I'm looking at is the overall structure. All I see is that this is support and resistance or supply and demand. We break out the bottom. You see how we break out here? But we immediately recover. Look at this candle. It closes way up here. So there's no way you would have took a sell, right? Because look at the close, right? You'll say, okay, it closed up here. Let me find out if we're going to reject. The next couple candles, we come back up. We come back down. We touch a support inside a fair value gap. We push right back up, right? This time, what do? We get underneath. Price comes up. We start to reject, right? This is the 1 minute. We get a nice candle closure way down here. So now I'm already seeing rejection. You know what I mean? So like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna draw my box right here. I'm gonna draw, look at this. So look at these lows. Look at this low. Look where these lows at. Look where the previous lows at. They're at the same fucking area, right? So I'm gonna draw it from the body of the candle to the bottom of the wick, right? Body of the candle to the bottom of the wick. Guess what? Indication, correction, 10:30 a.m. was your entry. Why? We didn't touch here. We touched right here. The next candle we dump. We break the lows. Right? Guess what this is? OT fucking E. Right? Swing high, swing low. Look what this candle is. OTE. That's my entry. Even if you took this, like, listen, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get really fucking good, and your entry is going to be here. This was my entry today. Matter of fact, I'm going to be honest with you. This was my entry today. Once I seen this, where was it? 9:30. Once I seen this rejection, my entry was right here. I moved my stop loss. Once we broke these lows, I was expecting my rejection to stop right here. This was my fault just because I didn't really, just me being like, sometimes I won't break even a little too early. So once we broke these lows, I was expecting a rejection here. So I put my stop loss literally right here. It tapped me out. Me and my boy Zay, he was just in the live. We was on a phone call together. It tapped me out and then it fucking flushed all day. And I literally missed this whole entire move because I was just being stupid. I was like, let me just move my break even early. When I never fucking do that. I normally wait to be up 2 grand, 1,500, and then I'll move my stop loss to break even. When you're moving at like $400 or $500 to break even, it's just like you're gonna get hit break even a lot. You know what I mean? So, right? So let's just like go back a little bit again. Right? We broke it, used it as resistance, we pushed lower. Now we have a new set of lows. We touched it, we rejected. Like it doesn't matter where you enter. The minute you see the rejection, take it, stop loss at the high, you can either, like, I like to do it like this, right? This was the support that turned into resistance right here. So if price comes back above this level, I'm wrong, right? There's no reason for me to have my stop loss up here because if price gets above here, look what happened last time. Bulls push price up, right? Bulls push price up. So if price gets above this level, what is to say that bulls won't push price up? You see what I'm saying? So I don't need my stop loss up here. I need my stop loss right here, right? I take my entry on the touch. Now I got a 20-point stop, which is a $200 stop, right? Now I could target, the lows, right? Or the SMT, the lows inside of the fair value gap, which is right here. So now you have a 7R trade. You risk $200 to make $1,400. That is what we do, bro. That is what we do on the daily. Feel me? So that is just how I'm looking to scale into my trade or find a way to get into my trade, right? Look at this low. So I'm going to mark my low, right? What does price do? Price gets underneath of it. We almost reject it and we immediately displace above it, right? We create a fair value gap. So now, guess what? I'm going to use this fair value gap and I'm going to use the high, right? This is the high. This is the fair value gap. price does not want to get below. So guess what I'm doing? I'm drawing my new support and resistance. This is it. So guess what we do? Are we breaking at the top? Or are we breaking at the bottom? We broke out the top right here. This is my new indication price wants to go higher. Look where we hold support at. Look where this high is, bro. Let me just draw a fucking line. Look, we don't go below the high. So why am I trying to short? Price is telling me where it wants to go. You see what I'm saying? It's not letting me. We're getting no candle closures below this level, right? The minute mind you, we're in the 1 minute. The minute we start to see that this is holding, I'm taking that fucking trade, bro. I'm not playing. We're hopping right the fuck in. Right? Look at this fair value gap. Same shit. Look where the fair value gap lines up with. Look. Look at the high. Look at the high. Right? Look at the body to the candle. Look where price touches. We hold fucking support inside the fair value gap. I just want to see if it's CTA real quick. Right? We hold it, we touch it, and then we continue to push higher. You know what I mean? Like that is how that's how I'm using it. And then look, right here, OTE. Swing low, swing high, OTE. Could have gone in again right there. You see what I'm saying, bro? It just repeats itself over and over again. As long as you're paying attention and being patient. That's exactly what I mean, though. So you wait for the thing going magnet there. I swear about a second. I've been getting so mad. Right, bro. I'm telling you, like, listen, bro. People are paying a lot of money for this. People are charging a lot of money for this shit, bro. And that's just not why I teach. You know what I mean? I'm here to give this shit out because I'm not here to charge a $5,000 course. I don't want your money. Even though again, look, money is money. You feel what I'm saying? But I like the market, bro. The market is something I love, right? If I'm able to take money out the market every day, I don't need your dollars. You feel what I'm saying? Let me go get that shit from the market. All right, now if I was an unprofitable trader, that might be a little bit different, right? I need to fund my fucking my trading habit. You know what I mean? So I might need your money. But no, I'm good, bro. Look, same shit, bro. Swing low, swing high. We retrace the OTE 618. We touch this shit and we literally just fucking bullet. We don't even. There's nothing. We just haul ass, bro. I gotta drill this into my head. I'm down like 500 on my 50K. You're good, bro. Listen, I was down $1,900. Go look on my TikTok. It'll show you. I was down $150 to blowing the account. And I came back and passed it. I showed everything. I showed every single day. I lost 3 days in a row of $600, like 620, 650, but I was $150 away from blowing the account and I passed it, bro, with $150 by using 3 micros. The rock hunting chain has nothing in. Chill, bro, chill. We don't need no attention over here. Right, I don't need none of that fame, bro. I don't need no fucking gurus in my chat. You feel me? Facts, yo. Look how you funny, bro. Chill. He ain't lying, but chill, bro. Chill. You get me blushing. For trading out, making money off their course. Like I don't knock anybody that sells a course. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you are putting your time and energy into something that you perfected, but to me that's just not my character to like 90%. Like I don't know y'all financials, but 90% of people in here are living paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean? The people who are paying $5,000 for a course are using daddy's money or using their parents' money. They're not using their own money, bro. Like unless you like came from money and you were able to, I mean, build something, like they're able to throw that away. But 90% of traders that come into the market are looking to make money because they don't have it. You know what I mean? They're spending, they're making $500-$600 a week. They're using that to buy evals to hopefully make money. So if I'm charging you $1,000 for knowledge that can help you get better, you're never gonna be able to buy it. You know what I mean? Because you got bills to pay, right? You got other things that are necessities instead of buying somebody's course. You know what I mean? So like that's for me why I don't sell a course is because I'm trying to help the people that are trying to make it out the mud. You know what I mean? Where I came from, not many people make it out. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to bring everybody with me. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that everybody eats. There's no gatekeeping nothing, bro. Like to me, that's corny. I don't like people who gatekeep information, especially when it's like I could give you the sauce, bro, but not many people are actually gonna go put this into work. You know what I mean? I hope everybody do, but the reality is only a few people are actually gonna put the time and effort in. Like most people are gonna like the thing is like I get a lot of messages from people like I'm getting new to trading, like what should I do? And I'm like, okay, I send them all these fucking videos, and they're like 21 hours worth of videos. Most people are not gonna put their time and energy into trading. When I first started this Discord, bro, I was sleeping. My phone was telling me I was sleeping less than 2 hours a night, right? Because I wanted this shit more than ever. You know what I mean? When I first got into trading, I watched every YouTube video. There's nothing I didn't do, right? I lost every fucking dollar I ever touched. Ever touched. I lost all that shit. You feel what I'm saying? Because I knew that there was gonna be a way out on the other side. You know what I mean? Because that was it. It was all or nothing for me. You know what I mean? And most people don't have that. They're not trying to, bro, do you still drive like a rat? Hell no, bro. Hell no. That shit is up out of here. That shit is gone, bro. I'll go kill myself in that thing, bro. Shit is gone. Um But you know what I mean? Most people don't. Most people lose a couple dollars. Somebody was like, somebody was like, so the daily is just a Tesla. The daily is a Tesla. Love your testimony on trading, bro. I appreciate it. But you feel me? Most people, bro, once they lose a couple $1,000, they're like, ah, this shit ain't for me. You know what I mean? But they pull up in a lamb. Look, it's for me, bro. I just spending money like that. I just don't. Doesn't give me no value, bro. I'm 29 years old. If I was 21, it may be different. I mean, flex. But I'm trying to put my money to work. You know what I mean? I want to make sure my kids don't gotta work, right? Buying a lamb is gonna do what? Sit in the garage, collect dust, and collect payments. You know what I mean? That's just the problem. Most people just want to flex, bro. Fuck is you flexing for? Your kids aren't set for life. What is you doing? You know what I mean? Like that's the problem, bro. Is that people just want to look cool for everybody else. You know what I mean? Like that to me, I did like listen. I did that shit when before. I'm 29, so 2014 I was in high school. 2016, 17, 18 I was in college. I was at Arizona State. You know what I mean? So I was doing that. I was again. I was mixed up in some bad stuff, but I was going to the casinos and putting 30K on black because I was mixed in with some bad people was making really good money. So me flexing I did that shit, bro. That shit ain't fun no more. That shit didn't bring anything but negative energy and bad people. You feel what I'm saying? Like, so you gotta focus on like what's gonna drive you. What's gonna make sure that your family's set. What happens if something happens? Well, I have 2, 3 bad months in the market. Am I gonna have money to be able to sustain myself? You know what I mean? Like you gotta be able to put your money to work. Make sure that when things hit the fan, you know what I mean, that you're able to be okay. You know what I mean? That's just the thing. Like if you're trading and you don't have a lot of money and you're trying to quit your job to trade, it's just a lot harder. You know what I mean? Because now you're putting the stress on money and you have to pay your bills. So every trade that you take means something. When I put my money into an account, if I put 20K into an account, if I put 100K into an account, I don't care about that money. So if I full port it and lose it, I was already planning to lose that money. You know what I mean? So I'm able to take a trade and hold that shit forever. Because if it comes back to break even, I didn't need that 60K. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like that is just a difference. And again, it's not easy to get there. That's why I like prop firms, is because you spend $100 and you're able to like take a couple of pennies out, take 2K out, 3K out, 4K out, put that away, start to build your bank account up, have a little cushion, and to continue to do that to get to a point where it's like, okay, I could take a little bit extra risk. I could put 4 grand in a trading account, and I could try and bubble that. You put 3K into account. Again, I document all this stuff, bro. I put 3K into account, and this guy named Luke, I don't know where he's at right now, but we ended up bubbling that shit to 100. Hold on, I got it. It was like No, it was 240K. We hit 144K in one day. We turned me and Luke. I could pull up on my MT5. I can show you and everything. We turned $40,000 into 400K in less than 20 days, bro. Like shit was crazy, bro. Shit was crazy. I don't know if you can see. Hold on, see if you can see this. Why isn't it? Shit is crazy. I'm just gonna have to try and. How do I do that? But yeah, so the story was is that there is this girl. Her husband was a trader. He ended up killing himself. Right? He ended up killing himself because he lost a couple $1 million into the market. Luke ended up calling me and said, "Hey, I got this account. I want you to help me flip it. I'm trying to make $1 million in this account, and you're probably the only one." It was in the Discord. I'll post it again, but this was back in like December. Feel me? So I swear to God, right? So he was like, "I put 40K in the account. I need you to help me flip it. I want to give $1 million to the wife that I want to put 1 million up her. Let me try and find it. Watch. So he was like, I want to try and make $1 million. Long story short is that we went up to 450K, 450K, and then that's kind of where we stopped. So we turned $40,000. Let God strike me dead if I'm lying. To 400K in less than less than 3 weeks. So I think it was either 3 weeks or 4 weeks, regardless. Feel me? But still, like we end up losing though. There was one time we lost 200K. I don't even know why we risked it. We lost 200K in one trade. We was in a gold trade and gold just hauled ass. We were shorting gold and we just kept shorting it, shorting. As price was going up, we kept layering sells. I swear to God, bro, we ended up closing the trade. We were sick to my stomach, bro. I could go back to the messages. I'll post all of our messages just to show you guys. I have all of our messages to show you how we went from 40K to 400 to $500,000, right? So watch, I'm gonna pull this shit out. I'm gonna show you the whole screenshot. Shit is insane, bro. So anyway, um, we get down to $100,000. He's calling me. He's sick to his stomach. He's damn near crying. He's like, "Yo, Bullet, I just lost the biggest trade. It's on our joint account. Like, I don't know what to do, bro. Like, I'm stressed. He hasn't drunk and he hasn't took a sip of alcohol in 8 years, and he fucking started drinking that day. I'm like, "Yo, don't do that shit. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get our money back. Don't worry about it." The very next day, I hit the biggest trade of our career, bro. Hit the biggest trade. We go from 120K. Mind you, I'm in drawdown like $80,000. Mind you, it was $40,000 in the account. We got up to half. It was like 300K at the time. We lost 200K. We're like $120,000, and I'm in $80,000 of the drawdown. I'm like, I just kept adding fucking cells, and then price fucking dumped, and we got all of our money back. This dude was so fucking happy. I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you. I have the whole thing fucking recorded in our chat. But I flipped a lot of accounts, bro. I flipped a lot of accounts. Again, the only reason you're able to flip accounts is because you don't need the money, right? It's a lot easier when you don't need it, right? When you're able to say like, "Hey, it is what it is." But when you need the money, it's very hard, bro. It just because trading is a lot of emotions. You know what I mean? So that's just the problem is that you tend to use more emotion. Send someone smaller profits. Yeah, I don't know. Luke, I haven't talked to him in like a couple months. I'm hoping he's good. Yeah, so yeah, I'm just gonna post it so you guys can see, bro. This shit was crazy, bro. This is a 224K trade, bro. This was on gold. I mean, this was on silver. $224,100. Watch. This shit was crazy. I'm gonna post the whole thing. I'm gonna show you guys, and then I'm gonna post the broker that shows that says it's live, just so you guys know. But yeah, guys, like we're gonna end this here though. We I'll post this stuff in the Discord, so just so you guys could see, bro, that this shit is like trading is it, bro. Trading is it. Trading is everything, bro. Like, first of all, it's a fun job. You have freedom. You could trade anywhere in the world. If you could perfect this thing and learn that you only need about $400 to $500 a day to make, to be like to be wealthy, like you don't need to be trading fucking and trying to make two, four, five, six, $7,000 every fucking day. Everybody wants to make huge money. Everybody's trying to. How do I do that? I don't even know how to do that shit, bro. I really don't. If I know how, let me. How do I do it? Oh yeah, I don't even know how to do it. I'm trying right now. How do I make a person a mod? Oh, settings, more chat settings. I don't even know how to fucking do this thing. Moderators. Here we go. Add a moderator. JR. All right, you're a moderator now, bro. Appreciate you. But what was I about to say? Yeah, just trading period, bro. It's just like if you do the math, bro, 400 hours, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 400 hours a day is $2,000 a week, right? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, yeah, $2,000 a week. Who's making $2,000 a week? You know what I mean? So like that's just like the hard part is like most people when they get into trading, they make a $400 trade and they're trying to trade again. And they're like, I need another 800, I need another 1,000. And it's like, bro, relax. $400 a day is fucking great, bro. You're literally making $2,000 a week. You're making $8,000 a month. If you're trading prop firms and you can only withdraw half, you're literally bringing in an extra 4K every single month, right? So now you, instead of having one account, now you copy trade two accounts, right? So now you're making 8K a month off two accounts. So now you're able to take out 4,000 from each. So now you're making an extra $8,000 a month. You see what I'm saying? You don't need like that's like the hard part is understanding how to scale, right? You get one account, you get a payout, you get $1,000, you buy one more account. That's it. Don't fucking buy five. Buy one more account, pass it, or like maybe buy two accounts, at least get one to funded. So now when you make a $400 trade, you make a $400 on both accounts. So now you make $800, right? At the end of the month or the end of the 2 weeks, you withdraw half. Now you have $8,000. You withdraw half. You got 4,000 from this account, 4,000 from this account, right? You just made $8,000 in 2 weeks, right? Bro, like, yeah, that's it, bro. That's all you have to do. Do it slowly. Don't try and come in all at once, right? You don't need to be making thousands of dollars every fucking day. It's a lot easier to have 5 accounts and make $400 a day over 5 accounts and then have one account and try and hit for a $2,000 trade, right? Right? 5 accounts at $400 per trade, that's $2,000. Is it easier for you to trade 5 micros and make a $400 trade, or is it easier for you to trade one account and make a $2,000 trade? It's a lot harder to make a $2,000 trade risking only $400 or $500, right? It's a lot easier for you to risk $400 to make $400. It's so fucking easy. If you can continue to do that every single day, bro, the market's giving you $400 every day. That's all you need to be successful in trading. What is your so right now, with this crazy move up, these are my two levels that I'm looking at. All right, so this is what I do. This is how I do it. When price makes an indication, right? These are the highs. Price makes a new indication, so it has to make a correction. So I draw my fib, and then I need to look what other confluences line up with my fib, right? So as we can see, this resistance lines up with my OTE, right? Now let's go look at vwap, right? And as you can see, we have our monthly vwap and weekly vwap right here. So now I have a good support area because the top VWAP is always like fucking the best support in the world. So now I have my zone. So now I will 90% take longs from this area. 9 times out of 10, price will come down to this level. So 4,700. This is where I'm looking to take longs from. This is it. I'm not saying, look, this is another area. Price is holding up at this high right here. If price is super bullish tomorrow, or even soon, we might be able to push higher from here. But I still would wait and need to see, because look at this fair value gap. I need to see this get filled, right? I need to see some type of retracement into this FVG. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we still have our support down here, and then this is the resistance, and then this is our zone, right? So price can try to break out the zone and say, nah, I'm not ready yet. And then we could literally just consolidate inside this zone, right? So I need a retrace, right? Just look at where we're at right now. Why would you want to take a long here? If you take a long here, where's your stop loss have to be? Where's the 15-minute time frame? Where's the next swing low? Your stop loss has to be way down here to be protected. You see what I'm saying? So why not wait for price to come down as much as possible, right? Find some unfilled fair value gaps, right? Find the first presented unfilled fair value gap above this level right here. The first unfilled fair value gap above that level, we would have to go find it. All right, we got this weekly opening gap, right? But damn, there's really not. All right, so the next level that we could be looking at would be just this right here. So I would just draw OTE again from this level right here to the high, right? Because this is open, right? This is open. We manipulated to this gap. So this is the swing low. This is the swing high. As you can see, this is OTE. So I'm going to look for a level within OTE. And this was the resistance that turned into support. So this might be another type of level that I would be looking at. All right, so these are the two levels. If we can hold this level, it's a good chance we push higher, at least be able to long back up to these, these set of highs. But look at this resistance. All right, so we tried to break out, we got underneath. So from 7 o'clock all the way until 10:30, we cannot break above this high. All right, we got a breakout, but price immediately rejected. So this isn't our resistance, this is. Right, so this is my new levels that I'm looking at, right? So I don't like Apex as much. Let me not say I don't like Apex. Apex is a great account, right? You can have 20 of them. But this is the thing. The rules on Apex, well, they kind of changed them, so it's not as bad, right? But Apex used to be, honestly, they're cheap, so beginners flock to them. But the rules are hard, and only the best of the best get payouts on Apex because of how hard the rules are. Now that they changed it up, it's a little bit easier because they don't have the 30%, they don't have the MAE rule, right? They didn't have the they just had way too many rules. So you literally had to be very fucking good at trading for Apex to make payouts. So if you go into my Discord, I have a prop firm section. I recommend the best prop firms. But listen, if you're new, bro, and you've really never bought funded accounts, Lucid. Lucid is like $78. $80, $84 maximum, 40% off. That, I mean, if you're trying to spend the least money possible, right? That is where I would go. Go get a Lucid account. Listen, if you can pass a funded account, you could get a payout. Listen, you literally need to do it twice. I got Blue Guardian. Blue Guardian's good. I just got a $4,000 payout with them. I posted. It's on my Discord. It's on my Discord. Sorry, not on my Discord. It's on my TikTok. I just posted it. 4,000 something. I don't know. They got a payout cap of 1,300, 13.5. After 30 days, you can take out 100%. My Lucid, or it's right here. $4,302. But look, Top Step, My Funded Futures, Lucid. That's it. That's all you need. They're the cheapest. They're the cheapest and the best, and you're never gonna get a payout denied. Top Step does not pay outs ever. If they say, oh, TPT is good. It's just the only part is they have they have not consistency. They have intraday trailing, so that's like it's hard for new traders, bro. Yes, Alpha Futures advanced accounts are the best. The only reason why I didn't recommend them right now is because they don't have, like, if you use a zero account, but I'm just recommending accounts where you can buy it without using an activation code, right? If you use Alpha Futures and you use the advanced, once you pass the account, you have to spend another 150 just to activate it. You know what I mean? So, My Funded Futures, Top Step, and Lucid, you're spending less than $100 and you're able to take a great payout, 5,000, 2,000. You know what I mean? $2,000 a week, bro. It's $8,000 a month extra because I know most of you guys are working, right? So which one has end of day drawdown? Yes, My Funded Futures, end of day drawdown, no activation fee. Lucid, end of day drawdown, no activation fee. Top Step, end of day drawdown, no activation fee. There's another one that I like too. What the fuck is it? Oh, Tradeify. No activation fee, end of day drawdown. And they have daily payouts for up to $1,000 on 50K. And it's like $80. So they are like my top four. Alpha Futures will be top five as you get better. And then TPT as well. You need like TPT again. You have to understand how to control yourself. If you have a $2,000 intraday drawdown and you're up $1,000 and you get took out at break even, now you're literally down $1,000, right? So TPT is for disciplined traders that know how to get in and out of trades and get above their buffer, right? Because the minute you get above your buffer, your trailing stops. So if you make $2,000, if you make $3,000, now your trailing drawdown is stuck at 50K plus $100. So now you literally have $3,000 to lose, right? So that's the thing, is like you have to get above your buffer so you have more drawdown. You know what I mean? And it's not trailing you anymore. So that's like, you know, so that's what I would use, bro. If I was you guys, My Funded Futures, great, fastest fucking payouts ever. Lucid, great, fastest payouts ever. No rules, you could trade anything, right? You want to trade accounts where you could trade news, so just in case you accidentally trade news, that they don't blow your account. You know what I mean? So just stick with the ones that everybody uses. Don't go and try and find an account that you never fucking heard of. If you never heard somebody trading it, or if you never heard it, why are you trying to buy a fucking account from at most funded when fucking nobody even knows who they are? You know what I mean? You want a firm that's reputable, so when you request a payout, you're not getting denied for some bullshit. You know? So yeah, we will be live again tomorrow night. We're just gonna continue to teach the strategy until it's in your head, until you don't need to see me anymore. I'm gonna continue to drill the strategy in your head over and over and over and over again. I mean, I'm gonna continue to show. Again, we'll catch some live trades. You know what I mean? If we It's just at 9 o'clock. Like, first of all, this was just a crazy move. After moves like this, do not trade. That's another thing, and this is really fucking important. Anytime the market moves over 300 points, and then it starts to like you see how we get this right here? Stop trading. Right? You could trade these pullbacks, but the minute price starts to consolidate like this, stop trading, because you're gonna take longs, you're gonna take shorts, and it's just gonna continue to chop you the fuck up like this shit. You know what I mean? Same thing with gold. Look at this big ass move. You know, people try to long again and just continue to get stopped out, stopped out, stopped out. Right? When the market moves, it has to rebalance. It has to have a correction every fucking time. Just like when we fell today on NQ. All right, we fell, and then we came back and rebalanced to exactly where we fucking fell from. We end up getting some follow through, but it's after market hours, right? Like 4 o'clock's like right here, right? So you got some follow through, but Oh, that's not even a good example. I want something that like this. Like this. You know what I mean? We fell at 9 p.m., right? We fell again at what, New York session? Oh, hold right here. Yeah, look, here it goes right here. This is what I was talking about. This is New York Open. Look, we haul ass. And then we literally move sideways the rest of the day. 6, which is right here. You know what I mean? So you're not trading this, right? So I never, once I see a big ass move like this and I didn't catch it, I'm not trading no more because the market's not going to give me another move. Yes, exactly. Wait for the, do you have, I heard of YRM. I heard one person use it, but listen, if the mainstream traders are not trading it, you should not be trading it. There's no reason, you know what I mean? First of all, the count is probably more expensive, and there's no reason for you to trade it because you don't even know if their payouts are actually legit. You know what I mean? JQ, I appreciate the gifts, my boy. I appreciate it. I appreciate anybody who send gifts and I ain't say it. Feel me? I appreciate y'all, man. Get me on the free page. Get me to touch some more people. I mean, let them know that there's actually strategies out there that work, bro. Can you go over high time frame one more time? I got you. So the higher time frame, bro, is it's called fractal, right? Everything moves in the same exact pattern on the lower time frame versus higher time frame. So when price and things get so basically the things that happen on the lower time frame happen the same exact way on a higher time frame, but it takes longer for it to play out. So watch, ready? This is accumulation, right? Price is moving sideways within this. Can you see? Price is moving sideways within this range, right? So from February 5th all the way until March 18th, we did not break out this range, right? What happened right here? We finally broke out. Right? We had breakout, like we had these little breakout right here, but we recovered. We had a breakout, we recovered. We had a breakout, we broke this low, right? So I'm having my indication that price wants to go lower. Did we get back inside our consolidation box? No, we rejected it, right? So what are we looking for? I'm looking to sell. Price told me it didn't want to go back inside the box. So the next thing it has to do is go find sell side liquidity. Right? So we're going to sell. All right? So we're going to go down to maybe like the 30-minute and we're going to look for ways to get in. We're going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to find a consolidation box. Where's my consolidation box? Ready? Right here. Right? Price can't break above the top and it's not breaking below the bottom. Right? So where does it finally break out of? Let's make it a little bit better right here, right? So we finally start to get breakouts to the bottom, right? So where's the last previous swing low, which was, we had the swing low, so let me mark them. Ready? We started with this one. Price made equal lows, right? We tried to come down. We said no. We tried to come down. We said no. Tried to come down. We said no. We finally break them, right? We finally get a candle close outside the range. We come back, right? This is the swing high. Does price come up there? No, right? So we have a high, and then we have our lower, let me just delete that shit, right? We got a lower high, and then we get more lower highs. I'm sorry, this handwriting is fucking garbage, bro. I just hate continue to click low, like, it just takes so much fucking time, right? So even if you look, even if you kind of have them a little bit skewed, it's not a problem, right? You're just gonna have to look, right? We see fair value gaps right here, right? So I'm saying that we're rejecting, right? We reject here, we reject here. So I'm saying that price cannot make it back up to the swing high. We have a fair value gap also right here. So what does price do? Price rejects it. We get underneath, we create a new resistance zone, right? We create a new support, right? Once we break underneath of it, we can start to see that sell side is the move, all right? So again, I'm just gonna, this is the low. So now I'm starting to see my zones a little bit more clear. If we break this low, what are the chances we come down this level, right? If we break this low, where's the next level? Right here, right? So the minute price rejects this area right here, this is a high probability trade, right? guess what? There is a fair value gap with a wick inside. That was our first target, which is a 3.6 R. And then depending on how price action moves, our second target, which is external liquidity, which is a 11 R. You see what I'm saying? Always coming through with the breakdowns. I'm glad this shit helps, bro. That's all that matters, is that this shit helps. You feel me? So like, look at the low, look at the pullbacks, right? You just gotta look at the pullbacks. All right. Anytime we break lows, wait for the pullback to that low. Look, this is the low. We broke it. So guess what? We have to come back to it. Guess what? We come right back to it. We go lower. Right? Look at the low. We break it. We retest it. We never get above it. We flush lower. Right? Lows. Right? Again, you could do it here. It's not a problem. Right? But I see more touches here. Right? So we break the low. We retest it. We flush lower. Right? Look at the low. Look at the blue candle, right? The candle flipped. All right, what do? We get beneath it, we retest it, we go lower. All right, look at the candle. This is the low, right? We almost get above, price says, nah, I'm not ready. We get below. Look at the low. We tried to go higher, price said no. We retest it, we said no again. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's very repetitive. All right, look at low, support, resistance. We break above, we come back, we say, nah, we can't go any lower. We're going to use this as support. Instead of resistance and going lower, we got above it, use it as support, and we push ourselves higher. Right, so you're using them as zones, right? So once they respect each other and you're starting to see where the respect is happening, and then you can start to get in. You know what I mean? I see respect happening right here. I short back down to the lows. 6R trade. I see that we're respecting the support, turn the resistance that turned into support. I target what? The next level of highs. Stop loss at the lows. 6R trade. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's just kind of how this shit works. Right? It happens over and over again, guys. Support and resistance. We try to get underneath of it. Price said no. Right? We use OTE again. We touch OTE. We break the highs. This time we do not get a retrace. That's just the problem. Is that sometimes we just don't. Well, first of all, this is the end of the session, right? We didn't get a retrace yet, but price just hauled ass, right? If price hauls ass, and then guess what? Fuck it. It's not meant for you. Don't chase nothing. You're never gonna find a hedge fund that's watching price go up. Like, I gotta get in right now. So if they're not doing it, why the fuck are you? Right? Like, that's what you have to remind yourself. Imagine somebody calls you right now and says, hey, I need you on Wall Street tomorrow. And the whole fucking Wall Street is watching you trade. How picky are you going to be on your trades? Are you just going to trade any trade? Are you going to see inverse like, oh, it's inverse fair value gap, let me take it? Fuck no. You're going to be so picky because you're going to make sure that this trade actually is going to hit. So why aren't you using your money as if it was the hedge funds? You know what I mean? Like, that's just the thing, is like hedge funds, when they trade, they can't trade. Like, a lot of times if you like end up looking up like interviews and stuff, they're like, yo, I could trade other people's money. It just, when it comes to my money, I'm more emotional. And that's just a reality, right? When you get a live account, you end up being more emotional. When it's a funded account, you buy $100 worth of challenge, you get $2,000 worth of drawdown, right? So you're able to like, hey, I could full port this shit. I only lose $100, right? I'm not telling you to do that, but it's just like we tend to trade better when it's not ours. You know what I mean? So don't look at that's like why I tell you, like, if you're trading and still learning the trade, keep your job. So you're not saying, hey, this trade has to hit or I can't pay my bills. That is where trading starts to get tricky because you're using your emotions to take trades instead of your setups, you know? So yeah, guys, we are gonna end it. We've been on live for like 3 hours, bro.